LeGrande Ride, regional leaders in outdoor recreation and weather. For extensive, accurate information about trails, snow, and everything weather-related, visit legrandride.com.
I'm Paul Andrus, asking you for your vote for Union County Commissioner. As Commissioner, I will work to provide opportunities for the people of Union County, opportunities for businesses to thrive and prosper, opportunities for graduates from our local high schools to have family wage jobs, and opportunities for law enforcement to have the funding and tools to keep our communities safe. I will work to be a champion, cheerleader, and advocate to all of the people of Union County. Vote Paul Andrus for Union County Commissioner. I am Paul Andrus, and I approve this message.
Making the complex understandable.
He's America's anchor man.
I am not just a host. I'm a leader.
And leader of the new media.
The people that I trust and believe in are oftentimes under attack. They are under attack by a bunch of hypocrites, but in the dominant drive-by media, they get a pass.
The Rush Limbaugh radio program. No free passes.
Bring it on, baby. Bring it on.
The Rush Limbaugh Show on Super Talk Radio is brought to you in part by Gray's West & Co. Pioneer Chapel in Baker City.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care. I ever get back, so let's root for the home team. They don't win, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The Johnny Ballgame Show.
Yes, T-minus 24 hours, actually about 26 hours, Chuckleheads. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. 1 day away from the 2018 NFL Draft from Jerry's World, AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Going to be a blast tomorrow. We're all over this coverage today. I got some NBA playoff stuff, but, I mean, you know what time it is. Johnny Ballgame Show. I mean, this is mainly a football program. When we can talk football over anything else, we typically do. And no question, the NFL Draft, one of the main big sport events of this year. We're going to be all over it today. Cleveland Browns on the clock at 1-4. I did some work to get a guest we have booked in a half hour from now. His name's Dan Labbe, and he covers the Cleveland Browns for a living from the main newspaper in Cleveland, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Dan Labbe coming on this show, scheduled to in 30 minutes. So we're hoping to bring him on the Baker City Gold and Silver Hotline and find out what the pulse is in Cleveland. Again, this guy covers the Browns for a living for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. You can find his stuff. He'll be on hour number 1, hour number 2. We are guestless. We got a lot of good stuff hour number 2, though, with over-under, some NBA stuff, and mainly just sticking with these NFL draft topics. 2 guests, hour number 3 today. Ronald Bond, our local sports update. He's the sports editor of the LeGrande Observer. He's with us at 5:05. And an author of a new book, Gaylon White, will hop on. The book is Singles and Smiles, How Arthur Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier, a new book out on baseball, and I always like bringing authors on. I got a copy of the book. We'll give that away tonight, too, for anybody who's interested in it. That author of the book, Gaylon White, will be on hour number 3. So, yeah, locked and loaded, ready to go, ready to have some fun. Johnny Ballgame Show brought to you again by Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Let's kick this thing off like we do this. It's your Valley Concrete Pumping Daily Top Story. Good stuff on the Ballgame Show today. Top story, like I said, 24 hours away. And these drafts, the draft is special for a lot of reasons, but mainly these are things that you just go back and look on. You keep track of drafts forever. You're always, what was the first pick of that draft? Or who'd they get in the 3rd round that year? Oh, yeah, that type of thing. I mean, this is where the Super Bowls are won, essentially. This is where good eras, bad eras, this is where this stuff happens. You have to hit on these picks. And if you miss on these picks as an organization, I mean, you can fall into the Cleveland Browns territory where you're not good for 10 years. Like I saw the New York Jets. What was the stat I saw? They haven't made the playoffs for, 7, 8 years? I mean, when you pick incorrectly, if you don't hit on these picks, that's what happens. You have an 8 or 9 year playoff drought in the NFL. When you hit on the picks, it's entirely the opposite deal. I mean, just look at the Pacific Northwest, 3rd round, 2012, Russell Wilson, Wisconsin. It changed the franchise forever. Just a 3rd round pick changed everything that franchise essentially stood for. Just with 1 3rd round pick, you changed the course of the next 20 years for your franchise, especially when you hit on the franchise quarterback pick. I mean, you can have a franchise quarterback and you can be bad in a lot of areas, but franchise quarterbacks bail you out. They're one big fat eraser. They'll erase other deficiencies within your team, and you can take an average team to the playoffs. 2 years ago, Aaron Rodgers, NFC Championship game. Yeah, they got hammered by a good team, Atlanta, in that game, but that Packers team that year had no business being in the NFC Championship game with the talent that roster had. No, they had Aaron Rodgers. He makes plays. If it's 3rd and 8, that sucker picks it up. That's what you need. If it's 3rd and 5, Russell tucks, picks that sucker up on foot, moves the chains. Big plays like that. That's what I love about this draft, and we don't know. Even when you know, you don't know, right? I mean, you have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, the human personality, that's a tricky thing. And a lot of that just comes down to, how well some of these guys work well with others or relate to coaches. Some people, and you work with them, I work with them. We've all worked with them in the past. Some people just don't, for whatever reason. They can have the best job ever. They don't hop out of bed in the morning, excited to go to work, and they take their stinking time. And a lot of times at work, and they'll sit there in their office. If they don't have to do anything extra, dude, they won't. They really, when it comes down to it, don't give a rip about the future, the success of the company they work for. As long as their paycheck is what it should be on the 1st and the 15th of the month, they are good to go. We've all worked with those guys. Heck, I've been those guys before. I've had jobs where I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to get paid, and I just wanted to clock in and clock out. I've had those jobs. We probably all have. Maybe you're sitting at one right now. Like, you could be in the NFL. I've talked to coaches. I've talked to players. I've talked to people who've been involved in the league a long time, and that exists big time in the NFL. And a lot of times, you can't track that. You can talk with ex-coaches, ex-teammates, teachers, professors, friends. You can dig up as much dirt as you want on a kid. But a lot of times, heck yeah, that kid wants to get drafted. So they're going to tell you everything, essentially, they think you want to hear. And that's what they're going to do. And you're going to buy it, and you're going to believe them, and you're going to draft them, and it's not going to work out. Maybe it's a physical issue. Maybe you messed up in your evaluation, like, you know what? The kid didn't translate well. I was worried a couple of years ago with Carson Wentz. Like, I never really saw the guy play. They played it, at what is it? Is it North Dakota State, the Bison, and they're tremendous. They win the national title at their level every year. I never watched their games. I've heard a lot about this Carson Wentz. Okay, but he doesn't play week in, week out, even in a group of 5 conference. He's, FCS, 1AA. I don't know what to think about this. Will he be able to translate and play with players that he's never shared a field with in terms of size, strength, athleticism? So I always get nervous with smaller school players. Obviously, I was dead wrong on that. He's darn near an MVP winner last year. So you never know. And that's why the draft, which I love, it's so crucial. And it's not just the first pick. I mean, you got to hit on 5th rounders in this league now. You do. You got to hit on undrafted rookie free agents that you sign. Keep it with my team in Seattle. I mean, the second best wide receiver in the history of the team was not drafted, Doug Baldwin. They found him after the draft, called him in. Second best receiver next to Hall of Famer Steve Largent that franchise has ever had. I mean, you have to hit in this league. And tomorrow, I love it. We see what teams can do, what they're going to do, who they're going to draft. Obviously, the quarterback position is at the forefront with this draft. Some people think we could have 4 quarterbacks in the top 6, top 7. I don't think that's far off. Mary Kay Cabot, who also writes for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, she wrote today that her sources are saying Cleveland has narrowed the first pick down to 2 players. Wyoming's Josh Allen and, hello Heisman, Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield. According to Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland Plain Dealer, the Browns aren't going to take Sam Darnold. They're not going to take Josh Rosen. They're not going to take Saquon Barkley first overall. Sorry, Osseo. They're going to take Baker Mayfield or Josh Allen. And are they going to mess it up? Well, they've messed it up before. Now, there's a lot running around in Cleveland right now, which is so crazy, too, because, dude, we're 24 hours away from the draft, and nobody knows who's going number 1. That cat always gets let out of that bag. It always does. We always end up finding out. Maybe tonight we will. Schefter will tweet out, sources indicate that the Cleveland Browns, with the first selection in the 2018 NFL Draft, will take Baker Mayfield from Oklahoma. Heisman winner. We'll hear that from Schefter tonight. You usually do. But, what does that mean for the Giants? I like the Giants to take Saquon Barkley at 2. Hell, run with Eli 2-3 more years. You're fine. I like what you have at tight end and Evan Ingram. I love what you have at Odell Beckham. Bring Saquon a part of that. Just kill people offensively with that look. You just brought in Nate Solder, your new big left tackle. Go with Eli. Continue to develop the other members of the receiving core, and you got a big 3 with Ingram, Beckham, and Barkley. Bring it. Eli, he hasn't had talent around that since it was Super Bowl years. Just run that. But say Dave Gettleman the Giants GM loves Sam Darnold and didn't think necessarily he was going to get him because he thought Cleveland was going to take him. All of a sudden, Cleveland takes Allen or Barkley, and Gettleman's like, oh, man. Allen or Mayfield, and Gettleman's like, oh, man. I got Saquon Barkley or Sam Darnold. Where am I going here? Typically, you would go the quarterback. If you get the most out of a franchise quarterback, you get 15 to 19 years. And most of those 15 to 19 years, you're 500 or better. Even on a down year, go back, look at Dan Marino, okay? No question, Dan Marino was a franchise quarterback. Even when they didn't have a full roster, they were never bad with Marino, and they're always, to any given Sunday, he can slice and dice you. Phillip Rivers, I look at that too. There were some nasty Chargers teams post-LT era. But every Sunday you're thinking, can the Chargers win? Yeah, if Phillip brings it. And a lot of times Phillip brought it. And the Chargers stay in games. Franchise quarterbacks do that. Best running back in the league you can have. And if you have a messy situation at quarterback, it's still tough to move the football. Ask Todd Gurley before Goff got there. It was tough. Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Middle school offense. But you got to hit on these picks, and that's why I love the draft. Not just round 1, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are Pro Bowlers and all-pro players in every single round of the draft. That's why it's so stinking bitchin'. The NBA draft, I was talking about this last night with my boy Gavi. The NBA draft, I don't even want to watch the second round. I really don't. Probably 5 or 6 players in the second round will maybe make a team, maybe a little more than that. Very, very rarely do you have like a Draymond Green or like a Manu Ginobili where you have an all-star Hall of Fame guy in the second round. Very, very rarely. NFL? Dude, if you're drafting a second-round pick and that guy isn't a Pro Bowl candidate, you missed. In the NFL, second, third-round picks, those dudes have to come in and start like as rookies in this league. And most of the time they do. And if you hit on those, wow, especially the way the CBA is. You don't have to pay those guys hardly any money. You don't pay them jack if you're drafting a guy in the third round. They're not making $1 million till year 3, dude. and you're getting a Pro Bowl caliber guy for $600,000, that's how you build championship rosters. Look at past championship rosters that have been built in that regard. I mean, you get young and you hit on picks, and then you have to make the decision when the second contract comes around whether to keep them or send them off. That's the tough part. But you want to at least be in that decision. A lot of teams aren't even fortunate to have that decision. Like, we got all these guys that are coming up for contract. Like, look at the Rams, what they got going on. Marcus Peters ain't making jack. Okay, he's going to want $15 million a year. Aaron Donald, that contract situation, he's going to get $20 million a year. Goff's going to get $30 million a year. Todd Gurley's going to want $15 million a year. The hell are the Rams going to do with all these guys? I mean, their window is wide open right now. That's why they had to sign Ndamukong Suh to a 1-year deal. They can't bring him back. They got too many other dudes to pay. I mean, the Seahawks went through that too. Certain guys they had to let go. Certain guys they kept around. They had Golden Tate, who was a money playmaker there. Had to let Golden Tate go. And Golden Tate was good for them. Don't get me wrong, he was. Heck, Beast Mode retired. I guess that's a little differently. The entire offensive line that they won a Super Bowl with, not one of those guys is even on the team anymore. Not one. Their whole line left. J.R. Sweezy, Brenna Giacomini. Right? Who was it? God, why am I blanking on those guys? Anyway, I don't need to name the 2013 Seattle Seahawks offensive line for you. You get it. None of them are there anymore. Russell Okung was who I was thinking. James Carpenter is who I was thinking. In the center, who they traded for Jimmy Graham to New Orleans. None of those guys are left. They didn't keep any of them. But yeah, it's big time, and I love the stinking draft. And tomorrow, I'll be at Benchwarmers, by the way. My boy Caleb Samsonite, he's going to co-host the show with us tomorrow. We're going to do a powerful 2-hour exclusive NFL draft preview program. We're going to cover this thing wall to wall, every single team. We'll take calls. We're going to be pumped. Tomorrow's one of those days, right? One of those days like Christmas, like right when you wake up. The first thing that comes into your dome is Christmas. It's Christmas, right? Remember when you were a kid? If you were fortunate enough to wake up on a Christmas morning and maybe have a couple presents under the tree, you know, if you had it like that as a kid, when you woke up, the first thing that went through your head was, oh, it's Christmas. Yes. I'm going to go open some presents right now. I'm going to eat a bowl of honeycomb. Yeah, all right, Merry Christmas. You know, tomorrow's one of those days. You wake up, the first thing that goes through your head is, it's time for the NFL draft. I got two of my best buddies in this business, BJ Rains, who covers Boise State football and basketball for the Idaho Press Tribune in Boise. They flew him down to the draft. I was texting him earlier today. He's in Dallas. He's covering the Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. And my other buddy, really good friend, Jay Tust, comes on this show sometimes too. He's the TV guy in Boise on Channel 7. They flew him down too. His company did. I got two of my boys in Dallas right now at the draft with their press passes, interviewing guys. Like, it's just unreal, dude. That's sweet. I should have applied for a press pass and went to the draft and did my show from Dallas. Why didn't I think of that? All I would have needed is about, $5,000 in sponsorship money. Where are you, Benchwarmers? Where are you, Goss? Huh? Where are you? Where are you, Dream Builders? J.D. Stanley? Huh? Kurt's RV? I can go on and on. I got a lot of sponsors. You hear them every day. If I could have got maybe $200 from every one of my sponsors, I probably could have flown down there and did the show from Dallas, which would have been so sweet. I got to think of that stuff, man. I do. That's your Valley Concrete Pumping top story. My boy Lee Atkinson. Hope to see you tomorrow at Benchwarmers, Lee. Weekend projects. You need concrete poured. Look, 'tis the season. The weather's getting better every stinking day, and I know you got that summer big project. Maybe you're putting in a sports court, maybe a back deck situation. You need concrete poured, you call Valley Concrete Pumping. Lee, I talked to him today, super duper busy this time of year, so call, schedule that appointment. You need concrete poured, you need Valley Concrete Pumping. Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. There will be 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round of this draft. Book it. There's going to be 5. That has only happened one time before. How many of those 5 the time before were hits? How many were misses? Don't go thinking that all 5 of these quarterbacks drafted tomorrow in the first round are going to at some point go to a Pro Bowl. Dude, it doesn't work like that in this league. We'll talk about that. First time in 19 years, there's going to be 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round. We'll examine 19 years ago and see how that might relate to tomorrow. Good stuff today. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. I flippin' love you.
Hi, this is Matt Scarfo, candidate for Union County Commissioner. I will dedicate all of my energy to work for this community and its traditions. I am confident in my abilities, and I'm committed to see this county thrive and succeed. I encourage everyone to participate in our right to vote. And you could find helpful information on all of our county's great candidates in the recently sent voters pamphlet. Our home, our county, our future. Vote for me, Matt Scarfo, for Union County Commissioner.
Paid for by the committee to elect Matt Scarfo.
Valley Concrete Pumping is your continuing local leader when it comes to all concrete pouring projects. For both contractors and do-it-yourselfers, Valley Concrete has by far the best service and prices. Having concrete poured for your project is a big decision. You gotta make sure it's done right, and owner-operator Lee Atkinson knows the business as well as anyone. So whatever the project may be, contact Valley Concrete Pumping and Lee Atkinson. You'll be 100% satisfied. That's a guarantee.
I'm Bree Troutman with American Family Insurance here in LeGrand at 109 Depot Street. And I'd like to invite you to stop in for a free, no-obligation quote. Let's see if I can save you some money. Auto, home, renters, boats, ATVs, motorhomes, farms, ranches, commercial, businesses, and life policies. You name it, American Family Insurance covers it. Keep your insurance local and come see us. Or give us a call at 663-1919.
American Family Insurance.
You want more local sports? Well, the Grande Observer and the Johnny Ballgame Show have you covered. I'm Ronald Bond, sports editor at the Observer, and I'll be joining the Johnny Ballgame Show Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. to discuss the local sports scene. It's the local sports report with Observer sports editor Ronald Bond. All the teams, all the sports, EOU, high school, you name it, we've got it. Wall-to-wall coverage. Wednesdays on the Johnny Ballgame Show at 5:30 p.m. Catch it.
When it's time for tires and time for savings, well, it's time for locally owned Rockin' Sons. For over 60 years, Rockin' Sons has been fitting Eastern Oregonians with the best prices and best brands of tires. It does not get more local than Rockin' Sons Tire and Auto. Don't forget about 25-hour towing service, the best in Eastern Oregon. Head to rockinsons.net and make sure you're getting the best deal on tires. Locally owned and operated since 1965.
All right, welcome back, Sports Talk Radio. It's the Johnny Ballgame Show. Call me, email me, text me, be a part of this son of a gun. Appreciate you. Text messages coming in on the Northwest Furniture and Mattress text line. Johnny, I still think the Browns take Darnold. I'm willing to bet money on that, okay? And also, Johnny, Jerry Rice came out of Mississippi Valley State. You damn right he did. The Delta Devils. Is that the coolest name in college football? The Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. I don't know if you remember this, but Jerry Rice, he broke every stinking record until Cooper Kupp came and broke most of them at that level, 1AA. Shout out to Cooper for being able to touch Rice stuff. But he had a quarterback there, too. His name was Willie Totten, okay? He was a big kid, way ahead of his time, could throw the ball all over the place. To be honest, I don't really know why Willie Taunton never worked out in the NFL. He was a scab player in 1987, but they renamed that stadium Rice Taunton Stadium. And Rice's quarterback in college, again, Willie Taunton. Look him up, dude. I'm not sure what happened, why he wasn't great in the pros. I don't know if the league was where they were at the time with African-American quarterbacks or some stupid thing like that. I don't think that's what it was. You're talking 1984, 83, 82, those seasons. But Jerry Rice and Willie Taunton rewrote the college football record book. I remember I was at a Seahawk game once. It was a Monday night game against the Cowboys, okay? Yeah, Nad Pumpage. And I'm just wasted, okay? Wasted. And I hope my mom's not listening. Wasted, okay? And when they're announcing the opening lineup, the starting lineup for the game, and the first player they announced, and this was 2004, okay? The first player they announced on this Monday night, they go, and a wide receiver, number 80 from Mississippi Valley State, Jerry Rice. And I just remember, because I was so wasted at the time, it hit me oh yeah, Rice is a Seahawk. And I remember cheering my tail off. Yeah, Rice! Yeah, I mean, he was 48. I mean, he couldn't play anymore, but I think he might have even scored a teeter that game. I can't remember. But I just remember cheering that Rice was wearing a Hawks gear, and he's running out of the tunnel, and the Hawk is flying. And the Monday night crowd, as you can probably imagine, it's just electric. It was the Cowboys, So there's 20,000 Cowboy fans there, too. Oh, it was sweet, dude. I've done it again. I do it all the time. This show isn't long enough. It's already 3:30. What the hell happens with that? I went on the air, 3:03? It's been 27 minutes already? Honestly, it feels like I've been talking for 10 minutes. I'm not joking. Basically, I wanted to talk about the 1999 NFL Draft. It's the only other year that 5 quarterbacks in the common draft era, that 5 quarterbacks went in the first round. The quarterbacks that year, and you can say what you will, whether or not they are busts or hits. I'll play along. But the first overall pick, what do you know? It's the Cleveland Browns. Tim Couch. Second overall, Donovan McNabb. No question they hit. Cincinnati Bengals, I'm sorry. Akili Smith. Sorry, Duck fans. The other 2 quarterbacks, taken 11th overall, Dante Culpepper. I'll give that a hit. He had some good years in Minnesota, derailed with injuries. That's his situation. His career crashed and burned at the end, but he had some good years. Went to 3 Pro Bowls. Okay, if you draft a quarterback in the first round and he makes it to the Pro Bowl 3 times, I mean, how can you say it didn't work out, right? And the other quarterback taken in the first round that year, Bears fans, remember a guy by the name of Cade McNown? Yeah, fortunately, you do. That's the last time it's happened. 5 QBs in the first round. And that year, okay, you had 2 of the 5 that hit. 40%. Tim Couch, I mean, he got, a cup of coffee with the Packers after the Browns cut him? He didn't even get to another team, essentially. Akili Smith, once he was done with Cincinnati, he didn't get to another team. Cade McNown, what, did the Saints give him a little run? He hardly did anything. I mean, it's a lot of these guys, they had big busts, man. So I think it's ignorant to think that, this draft's going to be different, Johnny. I think you got 5 Pro Bowl caliber players. I'll be shocked if that's the case. At least 2 of them, okay? At least 2 of them are not going to work out. This is the NFL draft, guys. At least 2 won't work. And they'll be, Cade McNown. Remember the UCLA quarterback, Cade McNown? Oh, isn't there a UCLA quarterback this year? Isn't that kind of interesting? You got, it's interesting, man. But 2 of them won't work. Whether you think it's Josh Allen, is it Baker, is it Lamar Jackson? Is he just going to be a scrub in this league? Heck, is it going to be Sam Darnold? Is Sam Darnold the next USC quarterback that wasn't good in the pros? Is he the next Matt Leinart? Is Sam Darnold the next John David Booty? Is he the next Matt Barkley? Is he the next Mark Sanchez? Is he the next Sean Salisbury? Is he the next USC quarterback that it doesn't work out for? I don't know. Baker City Gold and Silver Hotline. Love taking your calls. Got to make this quick because we have Dan Labbe going to join us in a second from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Covers the Browns for a living. Caller, welcome to the show. What you got for me, my man?
Hey, Ballgame Osseo. Just had a call in. You know, I caught the tail end of the program yesterday. Asked some of your Chucklehead Nation out there, wanted to know if Osseo was still alive. Well, I'm alive and I'm well.
Osseo! What's up, man?
Hey, I wanted to get this quick because I got to listen to this Cleveland Browns segment.
Yeah.
I think the Ravens could go Lamar Jackson in this draft. If he's still on the board, I think they're going.
That's an interesting look. Good call. I mean, I know they signed RG3, but there's no long-term value there. And the Flacco contract didn't work for them. I don't think Joe Flacco gets a third contract with the Ravens. My opinion, Osseo, when this contract expires, Flacco's going to look for another team. I don't know if the Ravens go a third contract with him, my opinion.
They probably don't. I mean, they gave him that big money because he won the Super Bowl. Or wait, should I say his defense won the Super Bowl way back. And it's been so long ago, I don't even know what year that was.
2011.
Yeah, 2011.
2012. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right, 2012. But I don't know. I was watching some analysts today. They were projecting how many moves you think are going to be made in the top 5. I know the Browns ain't dealing 1 and 4.
I don't think so either. Top 5, Osseo. I'll say
They're
1.
not.
I'll say maybe 1. Hey, let me ask you this.
If you're the Bills and Cardinals, you got to try to make a move. You need but you know what? Neither of those teams have picks or players to do that.
Yep, I'll say 1. Hey, I got to get you out of here, but I want to say one more thing. What were you like? Okay, you're an Iraqi war veteran, correct, Osseo?
Afghanistan
veteran. And you've also done the pest control with the Orkin man. What's worse, like going out on a war mission or having to take bed bugs out of a nasty trailer?
Oh, it's bed bugs out of a nasty trailer. It's hands down. I don't know a lot of your chuckleheads probably don't know me, but Osseo Joe's a shoot first, ask questions later type of guy. We had a saying in my unit: I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, if you know what I mean.
Gosh, Osseo. Yeah, no, I get you, bro. Hey, great stuff as always, and I'm glad you're alive and kicking and doing well. And if you get some time, heck, call back later in this show. Seriously.
Maybe I'll catch it to tail end, and maybe I'll do some digging and do another great hot take about Aaron Rodgers and how he's not going to be the Packers quarterback in 2 years.
I'm sure my Packer fan base will appreciate it as they always do, Osseo. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
Good stuff with Osseo Joe. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Dan Labbe, again, he covers the Cleveland Browns for the Cleveland Plain Dealer. That's the big newspaper in Cleveland. Go to cleveland.com, read his stuff, follow him on Twitter. He's hopping on the Baker City Gold and Silver Hotline. When we come back, don't miss it.
It's time now for your LeGrand Ride weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, a low of 40 degrees with clear skies expected. For tomorrow, a high near 78 degrees with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. In Baker City tonight, clear skies too with a low near 40 degrees. And by tomorrow, sunshine and calm wind with a high near 76. This weather forecast is brought to you by
Self-Service Furniture Warehouse. They have mattresses. Huge king-size mattresses starting at just $5.99 with adjustable bases and pillow top options for the ultimate comfort. Great prices, selection, and variety. Shop at Self-Service Furniture Warehouse, east end of Adams in LeGrand.
What if you couldn't choose your job, your pet, or your doctor? Hi, this is David Ebel, physical therapist from Mountain Valley Therapy. We are honored to be your choice in physical therapy. We work with you and your healthcare provider as a team to customize and closely monitor your treatment plan to ensure you make steady progress and maintain results long after your physical therapy is complete. Let us be your physical therapist. Call us for your free consultation, 962-0830.
Salem politicians keep spending more and more, trying to raise your taxes to do it. It's wrong. Oregon needs new leadership. We need a governor who will control runaway spending, balance the budget without raising your taxes, and lead where Kate Brown has failed. That's Newt Bueller, a doctor, a businessman.
I'm Dr. Newt Bueller. Our state's budget has never been bigger, but Kate Brown still wants more. In the legislature, I fought back. As governor, I'll control pensions and repeal the new tax on small business. When politicians in Salem try to raise your taxes to balance their budget, I'll veto it. Oregon doesn't need new taxes. We need a new governor.
Newt Bueller for governor. Less taxes, more accountability in Salem.
As governor, I'll lead where Kate Brown has failed. It's time for change. Oregon's future is worth it.
Paid for by Newt for governor.
I love how other sports try to come up with big stuff on the eve of the NFL draft, like they're going to somehow throw some type of wrench into what the NFL's doing. I mean, that commission on college basketball today, Condoleezza Rice and the crew trying to clean some stuff up. Look, I don't even know if we're going to get there today. It's the day before the NFL draft, dude. College basketball, yeah, you know what? Give me that in early March. I think it's funny. Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. We are pumped to have our next guest on the phone, especially 24 hours before draft day, to get a guy like Dan Labbe from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Great follow on Twitter. Again, this guy covers Cleveland Browns football for a living. We're bringing him on the program right now on the Baker City Gold and Silver Hotline. Dan, welcome to the show. Appreciate you out here in the Pacific Northwest. And I'll just say this, I've talked about the Cleveland Browns. I think a lot of shows have in this country outside of even the Midwest or Ohio region more than they ever have this particular offseason. I think it's fascinating. Welcome to the show. And does that surprise you a little bit with just how much buzz the Browns have gotten this offseason, man?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And secondly, it really doesn't, just because it's such a unique position. I mean, they have the first pick and the fourth pick to have two top 5 picks in the draft. And, you were talking about it right there in the open. Everyone's talking about the NFL draft. Like, there's literally nothing that can happen in the sports world that would distract people. I mean, the Cavs have a Game 5 tonight and the series tied 2-2, and everybody in Cleveland is paying attention to the NFL draft more than they are that. So, it doesn't really surprise me, because that's just kind of the nature of this, and I think the Browns are always just a fascinating team, even if it's just because they've been so bad for so long, and now the situation they're in. All these quarterbacks are pretty fascinating, and they're going to have their picks, so it doesn't really surprise me all that much.
Yeah, I got you. Well, what about this? Does this surprise you? Maybe that they've done such a good job of keeping this thing, relatively a secret. Like, usually cats get let out of the bag at some point with draft talk. Adam Schefter is going to find something at some point. And it seems like, here we are 24 hours from this thing. I know your colleague, Mary Kay Cabot, had a report earlier today. But other than that, I haven't heard really anything on, with serious substance as to who they are going to take. They've done a pretty good job of keeping this a secret, haven't they?
They absolutely have, and John Dorsey said last week that he goes dark for like a month before the draft, and he doesn't watch TV, he doesn't he doesn't do anything except scout, and maybe, a lot of guys, when they say that, they don't really mean it.
Yeah.
Maybe John Dorsey really does. He has handled this completely masterfully. He has not tipped his hand as to what he's going to do, and really, in Kansas City, when he was the GM there, he never really had an opportunity quite like this. The year they had the number 1 pick, it was not a very good quarterback class. He ended up taking a tackle. It was just an awful draft to begin with. So, even John Dorsey's history is really hard to get a read on what he might be thinking here at number 1. So, absolutely nothing would surprise me tomorrow, including if they did decide to take Baker Mayfield, whose name has suddenly popped up over the last week, being tied to the Browns more than it has before we've kind of gotten to this point.
He's hanging out with us. Dan Labbe does a terrific job covering the Cleveland Browns for Cleveland.com. That's the Cleveland Plain Dealer. He's hanging out with us here, Johnny Ballgame Show. All right, John Dorsey, Sashi Brown, Ray Farmer, Michael Lombardi, Tom Hecker Jr., George Kaknis, Phil Savage, Butch Stinking Davis was the GM here for a couple times. I remember the Dwight Clark era. Wonderful. What's different about Dorsey that you've seen so far? Obviously, he hasn't made a pick yet, Dan, but do you just kind of sense it different just because, I don't know, he's a professional at this? What's different about Dorsey?
I think it is the track record, and I think it's the recent track record. I mean, some of those names you rattled off. Obviously, Mike Lombardi had a history as a personnel guy, but other than that, a lot of these guys just, they were kind of getting their first shot at the gig. Ray Farmer was an assistant GM, but hadn't really been anything more than that. Phil Savage came to Baltimore scouting department. Sashi Brown was a lawyer. So they haven't really ever had a guy with this much recent experience, and on top of that, this much recent success. I mean, Kansas City has consistently, during his tenure, been a playoff team. They're one of only 3 teams in the entire NFL to make the playoffs 3 years in a row.
Good point.
Or maybe it's 2 years in a row. Maybe I might have messed that up. It's 2 or 3 years.
It's
in a
5
row.
and 6. I know that. It's
you get the point.
It's 5 and 6. They've made the playoffs 5 times in 6 years. I know in KC, and that's up there with anybody. What would be bigger in Cleveland? You know this market. You cover the Browns, Plain Dealer. What if I said, okay, a typical Cleveland fan can have his or her choice. The Cleveland Indians are going to win the next 2 World Series titles, 2 in a row. The Browns will win the next Super Bowl. Is that even a question, what they would rather see happen?
It is not even a question. There's a lot of love here for the Indians, but it does not match how passionate people are about the Cleveland Browns. If any offer you gave them, if it involved a Browns Super Bowl, they wouldn't even think about it. They would take that thing in a set. You could say that LeBron James is going to stay here and play productively for another 20 years and win 5 or 6 more titles. He's going to play into his 50s and just keep winning championships, and people would still say, no, give me the Browns Super Bowl.
Yeah, I love it, man. Good stuff. Dan Labbe, Cleveland Plain Dealer. I like Tyrod Taylor. I really do. And honestly, I think if the Browns had, say, signed Kirk Cousins in the offseason, I don't know if they're making a pick tomorrow at number 1 at quarterback. Had they had Kirk Cousins, I don't have Kirk Cousins a hell of a lot further down than Tyrod Taylor. I think he's more than capable. What's going on there? I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's any chance in hell that they would say, okay, Saquon 1, Chubb 4, Tyrod's 28 in his prime. He's over 500 with Buffalo, been to Pro Bowls, been to playoff games. Can't we run with him for 3 years and be steady at the position? I mean, am I an idiot for thinking that?
I don't think you are. I mean, I really like Tyrod Taylor too, but at the same time, I look at how things went in Buffalo, and he won games where he was 22-20 as a starter.
Yep.
Didn't turn the football over. But that's a team that desperately needs a quarterback, and they were willing to trade him for the number 65 pick. Now, maybe when all is said and done, that's more a reflection on them than the Browns.
Okay.
But I do think there's a ceiling with Tyrod Taylor, and I think we kind of saw it in Buffalo. And certainly at this point, Browns fans would love 7, 8, 9 wins every single year, but he's not really a guy that you kind of put in that position and say, okay, you're our quarterback for the next 5 years or whatever. But he is still young. He's making $16 million this year, which is not bad for your starting quarterback based on the contracts that were handed out this offseason. And, they can make a decision after that, but I think he's the perfect bridge quarterback to kind of keep a guy on the bench for a little while. And you can decide if you want to franchise him, try and re-sign him at the end of the year. They've got a lot of options.
I think so, too. Hey, who do the fans, like, you read the comments, you're on Twitter, whatnot, who, in the general consensus, who do the fans want the team to take at number 1?
Sam Darnold is really the guy I think that fans feel safest about. I think they look at him and they see a guy that can turn into a good quarterback. Now, there is a contingent out there that would love the Browns to take Baker Mayfield. I think there's a lot of – I think you could say that about a lot of teams that are looking for a quarterback near the top of the draft. They really like Baker. But Sam Darnold is kind of the safe most popular choice here. And I think the next question would be least popular, and the one that would make fans most nervous would be Josh Allen. But if they take Sam Darnold tomorrow, I think most Browns fans will be pretty happy with that.
Is 4 pretty much foregone that it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, whether it be Bradley Chubb if he's available or elsewhere, and maybe Denzel Ward or something? What do you think they do at 4, Dan?
Yeah, I think Bradley Chubb is kind of the front runner there, and if the Giants take him, it gets interesting. Do they kind of take Denzel Ward a little higher than maybe he was projected? Do they go for Minkah Fitzpatrick, who I think early on might have been the guy there at 4, but I think it will be somebody defensively. But if Chubb goes number 2, that's when you start to maybe take those calls and consider trading down a little bit.
Saquon Barkley, say Gettleman trades out at 2. The Browns take Baker, and all of a sudden Darnold's sitting there, or the Giants take Darnold at 2. The Jets take whomever they're going to take at the quarterback position at 3, and all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns have a choice at 4 of Saquon Barkley, Bradley Chubb. Have there been those discussions? Do you think they would consider taking Barkley over Chubb at 4 if both are there?
I would never rule out Barkley, but I would be a little surprised if they did take him.
Okay.
I think if you're choosing between Chubb and Barkley, I think it would be Chubb, especially because, look, John Dorsey comes off a year where he drafted Kareem Hunt in the 3rd round, and he led the NFL in rushing. So, and he comes from Green Bay. He's got a Green Bay background. They were never big on taking running backs high. So I think they would go with the defensive end in that situation.
I love it, man. I can't wait for this stuff, and I know you're the same way. I mean, before you became a sports writer, you were obviously a football geek. Same deal with me, too, and I've been watching these drafts ever since I can remember. I think Jerry is going to hit it out of the park. There's going to be the dancing girls, and it's just going to be mega in Dallas. Jerry Jones throws a party as well as anybody in this league. I'm excited for the Cleveland Brown fan base. It's got to be exciting in your line of work right now with everything going on, and see if they can turn this thing around. I won't lose your number, Dan. I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us here in the Pacific Northwest. Good luck with your reporting the rest of the way and covering the draft tomorrow. Appreciate you coming on the show, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Awesome stuff with that guy. Thank you again. That's Dan Labbe, Cleveland Plain Dealer. Read his stuff at cleveland.com. Great follow on Twitter if you want to keep in touch with what the Browns are doing. And that's really cool that he gave us his time today. Very, very, very much appreciative of that. That's the day before the draft. I mean, that guy's not some blogger in mom's basement coming up with stuff. Not that I would have those guys on this show anyway. But no, that's a legit beat writer for the Cleveland Browns at the biggest paper in Cleveland. I like what he said, too. Like, think about this. It's Cleveland right now. What is it, April 25th? The Cavs are in a series that's tied 2-2. They have a home game, pivotal game 5 tonight at the house that the king built. And, people in Cleveland are way more interested in tomorrow's NFL draft. Like, San Dimas High School football rules. And that's all I can say. I mean, football rules, dude. Like, this the whole college basketball. We're cracking down. Condoleezza Rice at the podium. You're doing this the day before the draft, man? College basketball stuff, one and done. Like, dude, it's the day before the draft. I might have time to get to that. We'll see. But again, it's the day before the draft, dude. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Hey, you need a project complete? Residential, commercial? You look no further than J.D. Stanley and the team at Dream Builders. You need a bid? Call J.D. He'll give you a low-price bid, a fair bid, that I can guarantee. J.D. works his tail off. I've known him for a long time. He's one of my best friends. And if I ever have a project, I'm calling Dream Builders. Roofing, siding, you name it, sidewalks, gutters, all phases of construction. J.D. and the crew at Dream Builders get the job done. Like him on Facebook, follow him, just type in Dream Builders. Give him a call for your next project. Appreciate his sponsorship on this program. That's J.D. Stanley, my boy, Dream Builders Contracting. J.D. likes the Bears. He's a big Bears fan. Kind of interesting because, when they took Trubisky last year, there weren't a lot of happy Bears fans on that. Me personally, not like I know anything, but I had Mitchell Trubisky 3rd on my quarterback ranking list last year, and he ended up going 1st overall. This year, I'm sorry, I got Baker Mayfield 4th on my quarterback list, and apparently he's going 1 to Cleveland, or a good chance. Now, last year, I had Patrick Mahomes, number 1. I had Deshaun Watson, number 2. And I had Mitchell Trubisky kind of a further down 3. Yeah, I was wrong on that. I'm always wrong. But yeah, Deshaun Watson proved a lot of people wrong. Clearly, that was the guy to take. And we'll see about Mahomes. He didn't get to play. He was behind Alex Smith. What are you going to do? You're not going to beat out Alex Smith in August. But he'll get the gig this year, and we'll see what he does. Mahomes was my guy last year. So, anyway, good stuff there. That guy's money. Dan Labbe. I'm gonna keep his number, and nice to know that if we need one, we got a Cleveland Browns go-to guy. That's awesome, man. I'd like to get a beat writer from every NFL city to be coming on this show. That would be a hot Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. We're gonna have fun today. Obviously, we're rocking, we're rolling. It's a good show, and NFL Draft tomorrow. Love it, you son of a.
Sure as the yearly return of the Canada Goose, the changing seasons signal the beginning of the spring tire sale at Les Schwab Tires. It's a time of rebirth, excitement, and a heck of a great deal on select tires for just about anything you'd be driving this spring. So if you think you might need new tires, stop on in. We'll come running, and if that seems overly excited, well, that's just who we are, spring or not. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters.
Hi, this is Kate from Blue Mountain Barbers on Adams Avenue. We're an old-fashioned barbershop with a fresh touch. We always have more than one chair available, so you never have to wait very long. We love our customers and take pride in being the premier barbershop in town. We also love our sports. We have a sweet TV setup, so the game is always on. Blue Mountain Barbers on Adams Avenue. Haircuts, shaves, beard trims, head shaves, product sales. You name it, we have it. When it's time for your next haircut, come to Blue Mountain Barbers. We won't mess it up. Go Beavs!
Carl again at the Oregon Trail Trader. I'd like to talk to you about my personal addiction. I am obsessed with firearms. They consume my life and profession. Please come to the Oregon Trail Trader and help me with my addiction problem by taking some of these new and used firearms off my hands. Let me turn my addiction into yours. Brandish me, the enabler. 2312 Adams Avenue in La Grande, the Oregon Trail Trader. Give us a like on Facebook, and we'll see you soon.
Hey there, it's Lars Larson. Join me weekday afternoons on Super Talk Radio for the Lars Larson Show. We talk about the issues that matter most in Oregon. I urge my listeners in Union and Baker counties to continue to weigh in. Let's make the show a conversation. So join me on the Lars Larson Show weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1450 and 1490 AM, brought to you in part by Carpet One Floor and Home, locally owned, managed, and most trusted, celebrating over 40 years in Eastern Oregon.
When selling your real estate, listing is the first and most important step. Think twice and list once. List your property with Ranch and Home Realty. They'll put 6 decades of experience and success in Eastern Oregon right to work for you. Ranch and Home Realty understands the unique nature of our market. They know what works and what doesn't. For homes, commercial, land, ranches, and farms, if it's property, they get it done. List once and don't think twice about choosing Eastern Oregon's trusted Ranch and Home Realty. 963-5450.
I wanna be a gangster. I can't take it anymore. I got anger. Feel like knocking down the doors like a gangster. Take from the rich, give to the poor like a gangster. Like a gangster. Who wanna be a gangster? I can't take.
All right, a couple of text messages coming in. Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Johnny, the Browns need to take Saquon 1, Chubb 4, roll with Tyrod. They'll finish second in the division next year, maybe first. That's an interesting take. I'm with you on that, but it's not going to happen. Tyrod's on a 1-year deal anyway. I don't know. It's just not going to happen. Whatever. But I think they could win a lot of games if they just took the best 2 players in the draft and not, dude, avoid a miss. Avoid a colossal Cleveland Brown F up. Stay away from the quarterbacks. They're going to take Baker Mayfield. What's that, a Johnny Football again? They're doing this? And they're going to take him first? Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Other texts. Johnny, please make sure Osseo Joe calls this show tomorrow. That's from Caleb. Caleb is co-hosting with me tomorrow. Caleb's a big Packer fan. Osseo Joe takes a shot at the Packers every time he calls in, so Caleb wants to be on the air to take an Osseo call tomorrow. That might be interesting. Play nice, guys. But yeah, we'll ask Osseo to go ahead and call us tomorrow during the draft. It was funny. Yeah, yesterday we got a text. Some guy was like, "Dude, where is Osseo? I haven't heard him in weeks. I miss him." I was like, what? Seriously. He's got a nice little fan base here. Osceola Stinking Joe. Big games tonight. You have an NBA playoff triple stinking header, correct? Or am I working on a quadruple header tonight? Do we have 4 playoff games? Holy snikes, we do. Indiana at Cleveland, Washington at Toronto, Utah at OKC, and Minnesota at Houston. 4 playoff games on a Wednesday. Yeah, give me a little bit of that. By the way, Mariner fans, I don't care if you DVR'd it. I'm just going to say, haga-laga, go M's. Took 2 or 3 from the Chi Sox. Keep winning series, Mariners. 1 today, 4-3. Game of the night tonight, I'll say Indiana-Cleveland. Look, it's painful for me watching this Cleveland Cavaliers team play. It really is. LeBron seems spent. He's got nothing left in the tank, and it's the first stinking round. Write this down, okay? Yeah. The Sixers are going to the finals. I said it, and I'm standing behind it. The Sixers are going to the finals. And figure out what order of big-time sports stories that's in this year. You kidding me? That's a mega-sized story. But yes, the Sixers are going to the finals. Ben Simmons, other than LeBron right now, is the second best player in the East. He is. Joel Embiid right now is the best big man in the East. Okay, J.J. Redick, my boy, I love J.J. Stroking threes left and right. Dude, the Sixers are going to the finals. Unless somehow, some way, LeBron can get that done. But I think Indiana's going to win that series. I really kind of do. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Those games of the night brought to you by LeGrand Stereo and Music. Look, not many local businesses have been as successful as LeGrand Stereo and Music over the last 40-plus years. They're open 7 days a week. They have brands like Rockford Fosgate, Kenwood, Peavey, professional installation, great service. Mike and his crew have always done an excellent job. You need a guitar, not only to purchase one, you want to learn how to play the guitar they sell you. They'll give you lessons. It's your complete local independent music store. And if you need anything in that regard, go to LeGrand Stereo and Music. Okay, they sponsor Little League. They buy Girl Scout cookies. They give back to this community. If you're into the whole local business scene and local businesses supporting each other, you should shop at LeGrand Stereo and Music. Again, when you're in the market for whatever it is they do, and they do a lot. TVs, stereos, musical instruments, you name it, they have it. Let's get you some news, and we'll be right back. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers.
Serving Eastern Oregon for over 75 years. This is KLBM LeGrand and KBKR Baker City. Super Talk Radio, the talk
Serial
of Eastern
killer
Oregon.
arrest, nomination in question. I'm Barbara Cusack. A former police officer arrested in connection with the Golden State Killer cases more than 40 years later. Orange County District Attorney Tony Rakaka says Joseph James D'Angelo was taken into custody today.
Finally, after all these years, the haunting question of who committed these terrible crimes has been put to rest.
The killings, 12 in all, date back to the 1970s and 80s, and the suspect is also believed to have raped more than 40 victims. President Trump's nominee to lead the Veteran Affairs Department, Ronnie Jackson, says he will move forward with the nomination process despite allegations made against him. Correspondent Manu Raju says a just-released memo alleges Jackson has problems with alcohol.
Perhaps one of the most damaging allegations that is in here is that, according to this memo, at a Secret Service going-away party, Jackson got drunk and wrecked a government vehicle. This is all part of an episode of excessive drunkenness on the job.
The hotly contested travel ban case got an airing before the U.S. Supreme Court today. Correspondent Ariane DeVogue explains what a decision following the oral arguments boils down to.
The key vote will be Justice Anthony Kennedy. And at times, he did seem like he was ready to side with the president for 2 main reasons. First of all, he said, look, the travel ban is reviewed every 180 days. And he also said, is it really the role in these situations for the court to second-guess the president?
President Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, said today he will assert his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination in connection with a lawsuit filed by adult film star Stormy Daniels. Stocks closed mixed, the Dow up 60 points, the S&P added 5, and the Nasdaq dropped nearly 4 points. I'm Barbara Cusack.
It's Jeff from Cat Spot Litter. If you own a cat, you know how much of a hassle it is buying that heavy, dusty clay litter at the store every couple weeks. Are you ready to save time and money? Well, listen up. I've invented a new cat litter that is lightweight, dust-free, and made from 100% real coconut. It's called Cat Spot Litter. There ain't nothing better at zapping cat urine smells either. The best part? For only $15, we ship a 30-day supply right to your front door. Shoot, we even offer a money-back guarantee. Jump on the coconut bandwagon and get rid of that toxic clumping clay litter. Start thinking healthy for you, your cat, and our planet. Go to catspotlitter.com and give it a try. Use promo code SAVE for 15% off your first order. Hey, I appreciate you listening.
It's time now for your LeGrand Ride weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, a low of 40 degrees with clear skies expected. For tomorrow, a high near 78 degrees with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. In Baker City tonight, clear skies too with a low near 40 degrees. And by tomorrow, sunshine and calm wind with a high near 76. This weather forecast is brought to you by
Grande Hospital. Medical research shows that people who develop a long-term relationship with a primary care provider experience better health and lower healthcare costs. Make your health a priority. Call the RMC, your primary care medical home, at 541-663-3138.
Empowering lives is our goal. A history of empowering lives is even better. Hi, this is David Ebel, physical therapist at Mountain Valley Therapy. Empowering lives is what we've been doing for over 19 years. There is more involved in your physical therapy than physical symptoms. We work with you and your doctor to take care of the most complicated cases with absolute confidence. Let us be your physical therapist. Mountain Valley Therapy, your physical therapy clinic. Call us for your free consultation, 962-0830.
Rush Limbaugh.
You know what the most fun in life is being right so much.
On the cutting edge.
Being dead on right, down the middle right so much.
And ahead of the pack.
That's what's fun.
America's most listened to talk radio program.
And then you add to the fun when you see how irritated a bunch of numbskulls get. Because you are right.
Rush Limbaugh.
Because I am right.
The Rush Limbaugh Show on Super Talk Radio is brought to you in part by Grace West & Co. Pioneer Chapel in Baker City.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care. I ever get back, so let's root for the home team. They don't win, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The Johnny Ballgame Show.
All right, welcome back. Hour number 2. That went quick. That's a quick first hour. I love it, though. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Again, thanks to everybody for hanging out. We're having fun today. The day before, and that's really all I need to say. Tomorrow, one of the fun sport events of the year. We'll be down at Benchwarmers for it. We're going to do a 2-hour show tomorrow. So the draft starts at 5. I'm not going to be on the air when picks are being announced, dude. No way. Fortunately, this gig, this job, I don't have to. So, yeah, I'm going to be at Benchwarmers with the fellas. Everybody encouraged to come down there. Last year, we had a pretty good little draft party at Benchwarmers. There's 10, 15 of us all sitting there at tables, hanging out, making picks, drinking shots, having a good time. So we'll get you down there. Hopefully we can see you at Benchwarmers tomorrow, right around 5 o'clock. That's when this thing kicks off. My boy Caleb, like I said, he's co-hosting with me tomorrow. I got an email from J.D. Stanley, Dream Builders. He says, Johnny, I'm not listening to the show tomorrow if Caleb is co-hosting. Matter of fact, pull all my advertising tomorrow if Caleb is going to be part of the program. I don't want my business associated with him. That's kind of interesting. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Interesting, J.D. You guys got some beef, huh? Just kidding. JD, you're welcome. Come on in studio. Co-host with us tomorrow. Get a Bears fan, a Packers fan, an Osseo Joe call in. We can have some fun with that stinking show. That's for darn sure. So anyway, it's going to be fun. I'm really excited this time of year, obviously. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about a couple of other things, too. Not so much. We heard Des Bryant today. We'll play over-under next, so get those in. And we can cover, hopefully, a lot of this stuff on over and under because there's just a lot of interesting things. Des Bryant, didn't like the offer Baltimore presented him. Michael Vick is getting into coaching. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to talk about what seems to happen every year, and I didn't get a chance to talk about this yesterday. But it happens every stinking year at the NFL Combine, and that's someone has flunks a drug test at the Combine. This year it was a player, and usually it's a guy. This year it was Antonio Callaway. He's a guy at Florida. I'll just tell you a little bit what I know about him, what I've seen about him. He's like first-round talented. Unfortunately for him, Florida didn't have a quarterback his entire career that could complete a quick slant. I mean, they were awful at that position in Gainesville. And Callaway was a really talented kid, just never got any runs, man. They had a bad offense. But he also had a lot of other stuff. He was cited for marijuana possession in 2017. He was stopped by police while riding in a car. Was part of a Title IX investigation in 2016 that centered on an alleged sexual battery. He testified during that case that he was high on marijuana during the incident and was later found not responsible for the alleged misconduct. He's just had what they call a checkered past. And usually it's the dude with the checkered pass that flunks the whiz test at the Combine. Now, it's just, this is one of those things, again, I talk about it every year, because every year there's that one guy. The Cowboys, remember when they drafted Randy Gregory out of Nebraska? The admitted marijuana user, but he was going to quit. It was going to be it was easy peasy, and he's okay with it. He's past it. Randy Gregory has hardly played in this league, and he's been one of the worst picks in Dallas Cowboy history. It's so easy for me to just, I would hope as a GM, to just stay away from some of those guys that have the checkered past and that you don't trust, further than you can throw them, Like, if you don't pick them. There's so many other, say, wide receivers. Like, I think Antonio Callaway is going to be a 7th round to undrafted player now. I just think most GMs are just done. By the way, Randy Gregory hasn't taken a snap since, week 2 of 2016? He smoked himself out of the league. Couldn't pass a drug test. And Antonio Callaway, he's just the next in a long line of guys with troubled pasts who come into the NFL and don't make it because, they make poor decisions. And a lot of it is, it's a system. It's a cultural system. And sure, personal responsibility does come in, but a lot of people grow up a certain way and just aren't ever taught. They don't know any better, and it's unfortunate. And I think we need to do a better job of just the educational process and fix that that system, that culture. And I'm not excusing it. I'm not. Personal responsibility, yes. You're a grown-ass man, know right from wrong. But I think that a lot of times that's a lot easier said than actually done, especially from my point of view. I never had to worry about stuff like that. I was raised in a home with loving family, people who cared about me and spent time and effort and money on making sure I wasn't a complete and total moron. And most of the time, I was, but I mean, there are people who gave a rip about me. Some people, who go through problems and stuff, they don't have anybody that gives a rip. Anyway, I'm not taking Antonio Callaway at all. I don't need. He is not a super duper gifted receiver that is a can't miss. Oh my, remember when Dez Bryant had issues, a little bit of issues there with Dez. Cowboys took him and that worked out. He gave him 9 years and scored more touchdowns than any other Cowboy receiver ever. And they've had good receivers. By the way, text message, Northwest Furniture and Mattress. Caleb responds to JD. JD says he's not listening tomorrow if Caleb's co-hosting, period, end of story, and he doesn't want me mentioning his business when Caleb's co-hosting. Caleb says, Johnny, please let me do all the Dream Builders plugs tomorrow. Caleb, I might arrange that. I'll come up with a read. Caleb can endorse Dream Builders tomorrow. I love it, man. Bring it. But quickly, back to Antonio Callaway and just how dumb you have to be to flunk a piss test at the combine. Did I just say that? A whiz test. I'm sorry. I'm not at Benchwarmers yet. He flunked a whiz test. Okay, I can say that word. I don't want to say the other word. I hate that. That's not fit for radio, certainly. But he took a whiz. I can say whiz. And he flunked a whiz test. Okay, it's A, you're just a moron, or B, you just don't give a rip either. And a lot of people, they're like O-Dog from Menace to Society. Just young, doesn't give a rip. And I don't know what this is a case of. But I know a guy who played in the NFL, and I've talked to him about this, okay? Off the record mainly. And I've talked to him about you're flunking drug tests and stuff and in the program. And he was like, Johnny, do you know how dumb you have to be in the NFL to flunk a whiz test? Like, Johnny, the league and the teams tell you the exact day and the exact time that you need to whiz in the cup. They tell you. The league doesn't want its star players flunking out for smoking marijuana recreationally. They don't want that. They want everybody to pass the test. They tell you, hey, on this date, on this month, like 5 months in advance, they tell you this is when you have to take the whiz test. He's like, Johnny, you got 5 months that you know. So if you do smoke marijuana recreationally, stop smoking it 2 to 3 weeks before you know you have to take the test. You pass the test, and you don't get tested again for 6 months. That's it. They don't test you randomly unless you flunk initially, I think it's twice, and get put in the program. When you're in the substance abuse program, then you're subject to random tests. That's what busts Josh Gordon so many times, man. But the key is, he told me, and he played in the league for 4 years, 5 years, said, dude, they tell you when. So if you want to smoke, just pass the test. You know it's coming, and then you have 6 free months to smoke and snort and shoot and sing, do a little dance. You can do whatever you want for 6 months. And then they tell you 6 months later, hey, they give you a 3 or 4 month warning. Hey, your next test is this day. Okay, great. Thank you. I'll make sure I'm clean that day. And the combine is the same deal. He said the combine's even easier because everybody gets tested at the combine. And he said, when he was going through the process, he said all his coaches, all his agent and the people that work for the agency that represented him, everybody was making sure, yes, remember, they're going to drug test you at the combine. If you flunk that drug test, because this guy wasn't a big pick or anything, you won't get drafted if you flunk a drug test. They will drug test you. Pass it, okay? Can you pass it? And he's like, to flunk a test at the combine? Like, dude, you're not even in the league yet. You're not getting checks yet. And you're just going to flunk a drug test at the combine and all of a sudden lose 2-3 rounds of position, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars, just because, wait, what? You couldn't get clean 2 weeks before you got to take a test? So that's why I look at Antonio Callaway, the Florida receiver, like, dude, come on, man. So, I don't know. No, I mean, say what you want. No big excuses here, but I'm not taking Antonio Callaway. I'm not going to take a guy who can't even pass a combine whiz test. I mean, I come on, dude. That's the easiest thing ever. You know, I mean, 40-yard dash. I mean, come on, man. That's what's hard. Trying to jump 40 inches, trying to catch a bunch of balls from the machine and the quarterbacks and lifting weights. That's what's hard. The whiz test is the easy part. And he let the whiz test, all of a sudden take over anything else he might have done well. Oh, we like the Callaway kid's 40. Oh, showed natural pass catching ability. I can hear Mike Mayock talking right now. He's quick, solid route runner. Didn't have a quarterback to throw him the ball at Florida. But no, now he flunks the whiz test, and it's like, dude, he's probably off already, probably 25 teams' boards. He's still on the Bengals board. He's probably still on the Seahawks board, right? There's a few boards that he's still on the Jets board. Certainly on the Bengals board. The Bengals moved him up. I promise you, Antonio Callaway, 7th round pick, Cincinnati Bengals. I promise you. Or the Cowboys, because we have a system here. We'll get this guy the help he needs. Yeah. Where's Randy Gregory? But anyway, it's like the dumbest thing, flunking the whiz test at the combine. I mean, do you want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and live a really cool life? Get to live in a nice house, marry a great-looking woman, have awesome kids, a cool dog, drive whatever car essentially you want to drive, buy your mom like a house, like stay in the NFL for 10 years, make a bunch of money. Do you want that life? Because it's like there for you. Oh, but no, you want to go to your buddy's house, play video games, and smoke a doobie a week before the combine and flunk the whiz test. Sorry. To me, like, gosh. At least, Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Daniel's Knott Funeral, Cremation, and Life Celebration Center on 7th Street in LeGrand makes a very difficult phone call a little less difficult. You lose loved ones, unfortunately, and accommodations, they need to be made. Whether it's a celebration of their life, whether it's a cremation, you make the call with Daniel's Knott Cremation and Life Celebration Center. Lowell and Carroll, experts in this industry, personal friends of mine as well, and I would give them, obviously, my full endorsement. When you do lose a loved one, if you need to make the proper accommodations, make those accommodations with Lowell and Carroll at Daniel's Knott Funeral, Cremation, and Life Celebration Center. Again, that's on 7th Street, downtown LeGrand. They're wonderful people. Give me a quick one when we come back. I got you on over-under. I got 4 coming in already. Give me 2 or 3 more. Chucklehead McGee, 2 or 3 more. Set the line. That's what I want. Johnny, how many points is Westbrook scoring tonight? The line's at 25. You over, you under. Johnny, how many running backs are going to be taken in the draft period? I'm setting the line at 8. You over, you under. Set me a line, dude. I'll take over, I'll take under. That's what we're doing every Wednesday on this program, Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill.
I'm Paul Andrus, asking you for your vote for Union County Commissioner. As Commissioner, I will work to provide opportunities for the people of Union County. Opportunities for every person to be valued, respected, and a part of our county. Opportunities for the elderly to feel safe and have access to quality health care, and opportunities for businesses to thrive and prosper. I will work to be a champion, cheerleader, and advocate to all of the people of Union County. Vote Paul Andrus for Union County Commissioner. I am Paul Andrus, and I approve this message.
Hey, I just finished going over our budget.
Oh yeah? How does it look?
So much better. I've been thinking we should invest some of it. A little bit each month.
Now, when you say invest, are you talking about going to the casino?
No.
Just kidding. What did you have in mind? Something like stock bonds or an IRA?
Well, I recently stopped by Baker City Gold and Silver. The place downtown on Main that has all the rare coins and currency?
Oh yeah, I love that place. Wait a minute, are you talking about investing in gold and silver?
Yeah, they're very honest and knowledgeable. Everything they said makes sense. Like, if you can't hold it, you don't own it. It's kind of hard to own a bunch of numbers on a computer screen.
Exactly. And we can purchase what we want, when and how we want too.
Mm-hmm.
That settles it. We need to go down to Baker City Gold and Silver together. What's their phone number? I want to call and ask a couple questions first.
1-800-556 888-211-2133.
Hungry for lunch? Maybe some dinner? Make Benchwarmers Pub & Grill the home for your next mouth-watering meal. They have every type of burger you can imagine, and their sandwich selection rivals anywhere in Eastern Oregon. My favorite's the Reuben. Benchwarmers also has tasty gyros and all kinds of baskets. Steak fingers, shrimp, chicken strips, halibut, and clams. Delish. Head to Benchwarmers for lunch or dinner, enjoy a cold beverage, and watch the game. Benchwarmers Pub & Grill.
I'm online every day, so it just makes sense to do my banking online too. I can check my balances, transfer funds, and even pay bills all from my laptop. It's so easy. I don't even have to leave home.
Old West Federal Credit Union, a better way to bank. Federally insured by NCUA. Online at oldwestfcu.org.
Blue Mountain Auto Parts is your local Napa Auto Parts dealer. On Jefferson in downtown LeGrand, Blue Mountain Auto Parts is Eastern Oregon's leader for car, truck, and SUV accessories. Bed covers, power steps, roll bars, bed liners, in-bed toolboxes, they have it all. Blue Mountain Auto Parts also has a huge selection of power tools, hand tools, and everything in between. Monty and his staff are waiting to help you at Blue Mountain Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer.
Johnny Ballgame Show. Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Let's have some fun with this. This is a good show so far. I got two guests, hour number 3. That's Ronald Bond, the sports editor from the LeGrand Observer. We'll get up with the local sports scene, talk preps, talk EOU, whatever we have to talk about with Bondy Boy. Does a good job. They have a good sports section in the Observer. Honestly, they do. Pick up a subscription or follow them at legrandobserver.com. We'll do that hour number 3. Also, there's a new book out. Baseball Junkies. It's called Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier, about a former Negro League star who basically spent most of his life living in Portland, Oregon. And fascinating story with this guy. And the author of the book is coming on in about an hour, so I'm excited to bring him in. Keep coming with the over-unders. I appreciate you guys. This is awesome. We're going to have fun with this one today because we got some good, stinking material. Cue the music. We do it every single Wednesday. Brought to you by Knee High Enterprises in Baker City. It's time for some over-under. All right. First up, shout out to my boy Nilly. Nilly says, Johnny, over under Mariner win total 2018. I set the line at 93 wins. Oh, Nilly, dilly. Hell. I got to go under, Nilly. Look, I like what I'm seeing. I'm appreciative of the Mariner season so far. I'm cool with it. But, dude, if they're going to win 94 games, I'm going to put a Speedo on, dye my hair like Eminem, and I'm going to run down Adams Avenue from Joe Bean's all the way to Island Avenue. Honestly, if they won 94 games, I'd put a Speedo on, dye my hair like Eminem, and I would run down Adams Avenue, dancing and celebrating the whole way, man. Oh, yeah. Hide the women and children. They do not want to see that stuff. No, I'm going under, Nilly. I'm going to say the Mariners win about 81, 80, 82 games. They're right around 500 for me. I think the pitching at some point will fall apart. Keep them coming. Johnny, how many points LeBron's going to score tonight? Line's at 30. You know what? God. I mean, he has to score over 30 every game for them to win. I'm going to say over. What the hell? I mean, it's LeBron. I'll say he scores 35. He grabs 12 rebounds, and dishes out 7 assists. And I think they might lose, honestly. I kind of like Indiana in that series. Cleveland just doesn't impress me. That team, they just don't have any good players, man. Yeah, one good guy. I'm sorry. And he's in his 15th, 16th year. Come on, man. No way. Next one, Johnny. How many quarterbacks will be drafted in the top 10? Line at 3.5. Well, okay. Mayfield's going in the top 10. I think Darnold's going in the top 10. Honestly, I think Josh Allen will as well. I mean, and that leaves Josh Rosen. I mean, look, if John Albert Elway with the Broncos with the 5th pick, could you imagine, like, if Darnold slips to him, there's no way he's not going quarterback. And if the Cleveland Browns take Mayfield and the Giants take Saquon and the Jets take, say, Josh Allen, Browns take Chubb at 4, all of a sudden Denver's up, and they got Darnold and possibly, they're not passing that up. Possibly Rosen, too? Interesting. I like this one. Johnny, how many total wins will the Browns have next year? Line at 4.5. Dude, holy shnikes, slap me sideways, but I'm going over. Look, I don't see Tyrod Taylor quarterbacking a team that's 4-12. I just don't. Tyrod Taylor wins games in this league. He has an excellent receiving core, an improving defense, a decent offensive line. Honestly, I don't think Cleveland's going to be 1-15, 2-14 next year. I think Cleveland's competitive. I think Cleveland's going to be 7-9, 8-8, 6-10. Honestly, I do. Tyrod is a good quarterback. I'm kind of surprised why teams haven't tried to trade for Tyrod at Cleveland, you know? Let him just go play the rookie. I think Tyrod's a starting quarterback in this league, and it's just weird. He gets so stinking disrespected, man. Next one, Johnny. Oh, this is funny. How many fist pumps will Johnny have during round 1? The line is at 1,000. Oh, come on. Pumping my fist, baby dolls. I'm going under, but that's cute. A lot of fist pumpage tomorrow with benchies for the draft, dude. And my Seahawks, I don't even plan on them making a pick, dude. I think Seattle trades out, collects more. If they do keep the pick, corner for me, number 1, a corner, and maybe a pass rusher at 2, if the corners aren't there. Look, what if Calvin Ridley is at 18? He probably won't be, okay? The one receiver that maybe go first round. Maybe the A&M kid too, though. But if Calvin Ridley's at 18, I wonder if the Seahawks take a receiver. Interesting, huh? Put him with Dougie and Tyler, and they lost Paul Richardson. They lost Jimmy Graham. What else? Let's have some fun with over-under. What else we got? Johnny, how many years Michael Vick will spend in coaching? Line at 5. I'll go under. Yeah, here's the story. Michael Vick is the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta franchise in the AAF. I think the franchise is called the Alliance, the Atlanta Alliance. That's bitchin'. Michael Vick is the OC. I don't know if this is a career thing for Vick. If it is, best of luck to him. I got no beef with Michael Vick. You know, I don't, man. I think he's served his time. You know, he's done everything he can and more, I think, to make up and pay his dues and serve his time for that dogfighting deal. That was a mad, bad, messy deal. And if you can't forgive him, that's on you. That's fine. That's a you thing. That's fine. But I'll tell you this: the work he's done for the Humane Society. He spent 18 months in federal prison. Yeah, okay. I'm not hoping that guy's life goes to shambles. I got no beef. Good for him. Johnny, Des Bryant rejected the Ravens' offer. How much money will he want? The line is $7 million a year. Dude, Des is going to want more than that, and I don't know what the deal was with the Ravens contract. My boy Gavi was saying that the Des wants a 1-year deal worth a good amount of money so he can prove himself or something, and the Ravens offered a long-term deal. I don't even get that. Dez is almost 30 and he doesn't want a long-term deal. Yeah, because they're just handing out mega contracts to receivers in their 30s with on and off field issues. Yeah, they're just handing those out. Awesome. Yeah. Dude, I'm guessing that the Ravens lowballed him. I would too. Here, Dez, here's a 3-year contract. $9-10 million signing bonus. It's going to be about $3.5-5 million a year, right around there. And he probably laughed at that. Dez overvalues Dez. Another one, Johnny, over/under running backs taken in the first round. The line's at 1.5. Well, we know there's going to be the one. I'm guessing there's going to be 2. I'm going to go over on this. I think Darius Geis goes in the first round. There's another one, too. Name's escaping me. I don't think there's going to be a super shock like a Ronald Jones or something. I love the backs. Maybe Sony Michel, last pick, first round. I don't know. I'll take the over on the 1.5, though. If that line was 2.5, I'd probably take the under. I don't know, right? That's interesting. Now, what else we got? Oh, my God. Really? Johnny Double Dare is coming back to Nickelodeon this summer. How many episodes will you watch? Line's at 1.5. Dude, I don't even know where to find Nickelodeon on my television. Look, if you're listening and you got kids, you full well know where the hell Nickelodeon is. I'm certain of that. I don't have a stinking clue, dude. But Double Dare, the physical challenge, Mark Summers, dude, who didn't want to be on Double Dare back in the mid to late 80s? I loved that stinking show. I watched a lot of Nickelodeon. We all did growing up. You can't do that on television, that show. But no, I'm not going to be watching Double Dare reissue Double Dare this summer. I probably won't watch any. I'll say under. Johnny, how many copies will Damian Lillard's newest album sell? I'm setting the line at 1 million. Look, Damian, I love you. I'm just mad at you right now. I'm just mad at Dame. I expected a little more from a varsity Letterman. I'm mad at Dame. I'm going to say under, and you know what, whatever. I'm just mad. Johnny, how long will fans boo Roger Goodell tomorrow when he approaches the podium at the draft? Remember, he's in Dallas. Roger Goodell would get booed just about anywhere, but no, you're right on that. In Dallas, the whole tiff between him and Jerry Jones, dude, Dallas is Jerry Jones's town. Make no mistake about that. Jerry Jones, he rules the roost in Dallas. Not Mark Cuban, no. Not a Bush, no. It's Jerry Jones. He runs that town. No, George W. Bush calls Jerry Jones for tickets. It's not the other way around, okay? Jerry Jones probably screens the Bush's calls. Oh, God, you know what? W's calling me again. Let that one go to voicemail. I got ladies here. I don't know. Ball game show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. That's a fun one, though. Over-under, by the way, is 10 seconds. Is there going to be 10 straight seconds of boos when Roger Goodell approaches the podium tomorrow before the first pick? I'll say over. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of boos, dude. That's a good one. What else we got here? Over-under, Knee-High Enterprises. Johnny, running backs drafted by Seattle. What's your over-under? Line's at 2. I'm going to take a push on that, my man. I think they'll take 2 running backs. Actually, you know what? They don't have a lot of picks to make. I'll say under. I'll say they take 1 running back, Seattle. I like the running backs this year, dude. I think it's a good crap. Look, Royce Freeman is going to be possibly like a 5th-round pick. Royce Freeman can play at that level. Someone's going to get a steal in Royce Freeman there. Ball game show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Knee-High Enterprises, appreciate you in Baker City. You need new doors. You need new windows. You need a new garage door or garage door opener. Well, you need Knee-High Enterprises and my boy Greg Pointer. Big enough for the big jobs, small enough to care. You know what? The NCAA, maybe we have some time to get to that. Some emails and text messages coming in. Having fun on a Wednesday, the day before the NFL draft. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill.
It's time now for your LeGrand Ride weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, a low of 40 degrees with clear skies expected. For tomorrow, a high near 78 degrees with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. In Baker City tonight, clear skies too with a low near 40 degrees. And by tomorrow, sunshine and calm wind with a high near 76. This weather forecast is brought to you by LeGrand Ride, regional leaders in outdoor recreation and weather. For extensive, accurate information about trails, snow, and everything weather-related, visit legrandride.com.
Salem politicians keep spending more and more, trying to raise your taxes to do it. It's wrong. Oregon needs new leadership. We need a governor who will control runaway spending, balance the budget without raising your taxes, and lead where Kate Brown has failed. That's Newt Buehler, a doctor, a businessman.
I'm Dr. Newt Buehler. Our state's budget has never been bigger, but Kate Brown still wants more. In the legislature, I fought back. As governor, I'll control pensions and repeal the new tax on small business. When politicians in Salem try to raise your taxes to balance their budget, I'll veto it. Oregon doesn't need new taxes. We need a new governor.
Newt Buehler for governor. Less taxes, more accountability in Salem.
As governor, I'll lead where Kate Brown has failed. It's time for change. Oregon's future is worth it.
Paid for by Newt for governor.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Chris Jula from the Johnny Ballgame Show. Catch me every Friday at 5:30. A little bit of a shameless plug, some self-promotion, don't care. More importantly, wanted to tell you about Bubbles Laundry on Adams Avenue. It's everything you want in a laundromat. First of all, it's clean. Nothing nastier than a dirty mat, I'm sure you'd all agree. The prices, they're what they should be, and the free Wi-Fi, so convenient. I can watch all my shows, all my sports, while I'm doing my laundry, and they have fluff and fold service too for those on the go. Bubbles Laundry on Adams Avenue.
It's time now for Community Calendar Update. If you or someone you know is struggling with alcohol, there are many Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in our area. To learn more about upcoming meetings or to speak with someone in Alcoholics Anonymous, visit OregonAADistrict29.org. The Cook Memorial Library's Literacy Center is open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays in LeGrand. From 1:30 to 5 p.m., devoted volunteers assist any individual that needs help in all areas of reading, writing, and speaking. There are opportunities to connect with reading partners, develop reading and language skills, and even help with homework for students. This is a perfect opportunity for all ages to receive free help in these literacy skills, or even for someone you care for. Stop by the Cook Memorial Library on 4th Street in LeGrand for more information, or call 541-962-1339. This community calendar update is brought to you by Benchmark Land Surveying. Are you planning to build a new shop, add on to your home, or build fence this year? Regardless of the project size, you'll need some form of surveying. For a free quote, call Benchmark Land Surveying in Baker City.
All right, 4:40. What's that Pacific time? About 24 hours away from the NFL draft. Super excited. We'll have a 2-hour program tomorrow, and I only got time for an hour on Friday. We're going to get to Fox Sports, the national shows. Those guys are pros. They're way better than me. And they're going to be breaking down the draft like they can. And we'll still get you sports in this block on Super Talk Radio 3 to 6. But it won't be the ball game show. That's Friday from 4 to 6 and tomorrow from 5 to 6. I'll be at Bench Warmers tomorrow And I'm excited about that. I love the NFL draft, one of my favorite days of the year. I wanted to touch on this a little bit with the NCAA, the panel today, the Condoleezza Rice deal, where basically a commission on college basketball, led by Condoleezza Rice and others, and they have recommended to the NCAA to end the one-and-done rule. Okay? Not only that, but they want to have lifetime bans for, say, a Rick Pitino or mega rule breakers in college basketball. The grimy coaches, the prostitute deals, lifetime ban. You don't get to coach in the NCAA anymore. You're done. I don't have a problem with that, I guess. I don't. I mean, fine. If that's what they want to do, that's what they can do. The one and done thing, this is what I don't get. Like, did they... And these people are smarter than me. I know this. I'm not arguing. I'm getting into a competition of intellect with these guys. They're smarter than me, okay? But the one and done rule isn't a college basketball thing. I'm smart enough to know that. It's an NBA thing. The NBA changed its rule that says you have to be 1 year removed from what should have been your graduating high school class to enter that league. That's the rule. That has nothing to do with college. Condoleezza and your crew, like, come on, guys. It has nothing to do with the NCAA. That's an NBA deal. The NBA said, yep, we're not letting you enter our draft till you're a year removed from your graduating high school class. And if you didn't graduate that year, the year you should have graduated in high school, a year later. Or in the case of, say, a European, I believe it's 19, a foreign player, it's still same thing. Okay, that's nothing to do with the NCAA. So if the NCAA, Condoleezza and the fellas, if they're going to say, hey, NCAA, we want you to end one and done, that means that the NBA isn't going to let the kid go there, but now the NCAA won't either. So where are these kids going to go play basketball? And why is it such a big deal? It's basketball. Like, why can't a guy, if an NBA team is willing to pay money for a kid just out of high school, if he's a willing employer, if a team is a willing employer of a player that they think is capable of working in their line of work, their business, why the hell do they have to wait a year? That's what I don't get. Why do we care about basketball so much like that? Why is basketball such a big deal? Oh, I control this. I could go make sandwiches. I could be on the radio right out of high school. If I'm qualified, I'm good enough for the gig, and an employer is willing to employ me, what's the blockage here? What's in the way, dude? I don't know. But so the NCAA is going to say, well, we're not going to take them either. Come on. Look, the only reason the NCAA, first off, they take them because they're the best players. And you see teams now with freshmen everywhere still going on deep Final Four runs. Oh, you take them. No, you know what? If you come to college, we're gonna make you stay in college. We're gonna force you to stay here. What is this? So again, maybe for severe rule breakers, okay, if they want to give them a lifetime ban, the Pete Rose deal, fine. But the whole one and done deal doesn't make sense to me. What you need to be, because look, if I want to only go to a year of college, I'm only going to a year of college. If I go to a year to college and all of a sudden I find a profession, I don't need to go to college anymore, I don't want to go to college anymore, I want to pursue this profession, then later college, I'm going. But no. If you're a basketball player, you better stay. You have to. No. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, the NBA, get rid of the stinking rule, please. Just get rid of the stinking rule. And that way a lot of these kids don't have to fart around on a college campus for 7 months before they can go to the NBA. Let them maximize their market value. If an employer is willing to employ them to play basketball, then let that stinking happen. What do you care if it doesn't work out? Well, really, what do you care? Why do you care so much about these 17, 18-year-old kids? You don't give a rip about them. What do you care? If they want to leave, just let them leave. Could you imagine LeBron James having to play a year of college? Ha! Kobe Bryant playing a year of college ball. What? No, I mean, let those guys just go. And I think, honestly, if most of those guys just go anyway, there will be less one-and-dones in college. It will, let's just say, like my dad used to say, it'll just work itself out. And I think that'll happen. My dad said it in a different type of thing. My dad gave me a mega lecture once, and I probably deserved it. I was like early 20s, like kind of farting around with my life. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was living at his house, I don't know. I'm not a parent, but if I was a parent and my son is 20, 21, and he's still living at home, I don't know how excited I'd be about that. But that was the case with me. I'm living at home, and my dad has a talk with me. What's the stinking plan? What are you doing? What's the plan? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, your life's not just going to work itself out. Like, you need to make this happen. What do you want to do? What's going on? Figure it out. It's not going to work itself out. He was right, Even though sometimes I've talked about him later on. I talked with him later on. And I was like, Dad, I remember when you told me that. My life, Dad, did just kind of work itself out. He's like, well, bull stink, it didn't. No, it didn't. You got off your ass and did something, Yep, cracker butt, whatever. Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Johnny, maturity. Keep them. No, look, maturity. Let's let the employer decide the maturity level. That's not for me to decide, nor you. Let the employer, just like you. Do you hire and fire people? If the answer is yes, you know what? I'm not going to interfere with your business. I'm not going to go down to Grande Stereo and Music and tell my brother Mike, hey, you know what? I don't know. I think you should have more restrictions on who you can hire here. You know what? I'm going to let him do that. He's in the private sector. Let him hire who he wants. I don't know why we don't let NBA teams hire who they want. Why do we have to be the ones that say, they're not mature enough? Why don't we let the Lakers decide who's mature and who isn't? You telling me Kobe wasn't mature? LeBron wasn't mature? Those guys were mega mature. Mature. So you're not really the guy who says mature. Ballgame show, Benchwarmers Pub. Anyway, it's just my opinion. I don't see a problem with it. I think the one-and-dones will be less if you just let the kids who want to leave and don't want to go to college, okay? I'm hearing that all the time. Let's stop with all this go to college stuff. Lars Larson says it every day on this station. Too much. Hey, send kids to college. Send them to trade schools. No more liberal arts schools. I hear that every day from people. But what about with basketball? We want to make them go to school with basketball? I don't get it. It's stupid basketball. Just let them go. What do you care if it doesn't work out for them? At least they have in a lot of cases, they have a guaranteed contract. Have millions of dollars in their pocket. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. MJ Goss Motors, downtown LeGrand, serving you since 1922. 24-hour towing service, a complete service department. They can lift that hood up, diagnose the problem for you, and cars, trucks, SUVs, new and pre-owned. Look, it's a different purchasing experience. You'll know it when you're there. You're not going to feel like you're in the episode of The Walking Dead when you're on the car lot at Goss Motors. It's not going to be people coming right at you. Buy this, buy that. You're not going to get that at Goss Motors. They make darn sure that's not how the process is going to go. So get down there, get to the lot, step in a vehicle, smell that new car scent, test drive that son of a gun. You won't be disappointed. Quick, friendly service since 1922. MJ Goss Motors. Give me a quick one. Be right back. Love ya.
Every day is better with a lifestyle of fitness, and you qualify for great health at Grande Fitness. Feel great and look better with classes like yoga, boxing, Pilates, step, and strength. The quick 30-minute noon workout is easy and gets results. Okay, it's your turn. Start feeling better now. Come to Grande Fitness, a complete facility with pool, racquetball, cardio, and weight machines. personal programs, and more just for you. Great health, energy, and strength are waiting for you at Grande Fitness.
Hey, Eastern Oregon, I'm America's Digital Pro, Kim Commando. Join me Saturday morning at 8 o'clock right here on Super Talk 1450 and 1490 AM. Of course, I take all your questions and we talk about everything digital. The internet, smartphones, how to avoid getting scammed online, and those data breaches. Join me for the Kim Commando Show on Super Talk Radio, brought to you by EONI, your choice for a superior connected experience. Fast, local, and reliable. EONI, the internet done right.
Did you know that all young men must register with the Selective Service System within 30 days of their 18th birthday? It's a good thing to know because those who don't register aren't eligible for student aid, federal jobs, or job training programs. They also can't obtain a driver's license in most states. But another good thing to know is how simple it is to register. Just visit sss.gov on your computer or smartphone. It only takes about 30 seconds. It's quick, it's easy, it's the law.
Every 20 seconds, another kid drops out of school. If we do nothing, 3.5 million kids won't receive a diploma over the next 4 years. United Way knows that kids who have a caring adult in their life are more likely to make it. And the difference between a dropout and a graduate could be you. Take the pledge to volunteer now at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
What would Oregon be like without the Lions Club? Without the Lions Club, inner-city children in Portland would still be in need of shoes and socks. Over 40,000 Oregonians would go without access to preventative medical care each year. And your friends and neighbors would still be in need of the eyeglasses and hearing aids they need. Since 1917, members of the Lions Club have been helping people in their own communities improve their lives and better the area around them. For information on how to join, call the Oregon Lions at 866-623-9053 or visit lionsofOregon.org.
I don't believe it. My savings are gone.
Okay, think. Where'd you have them last?
I was home, then I spent them on that vacation in this tiny suit of armor. Now they're gone.
Weird.
Weird? Not really. Not saving now means no money later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Oh, I broke his little gauntlet.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Oregon Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
More than 7.7 million American teenagers participate in high school sports every year, including about 101,000 here in Oregon. They're all learning essential life lessons, like the importance of hard work, time management, and self-discipline, skills that are helping them become better leaders and more active, responsible citizens. This message presented by the Oregon School Activities Association and the Oregon Athletic Directors Association.
I can't do anything without you. Can't do anything with you. You drive me crazy, but I love you. You make me lazy, but I love you. I want to hate you, but then I kiss you. Want to kill you, but then I miss you. You drive me crazy, but I love you. You make me lazy, but I love you.
Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Let's go to the MJ Goss Motors inbox. You can email the program. It's pretty easy. JohnnyBallGameShow@gmail.com. We'll read your emails, answer questions, read your comments. Whatever you need to do. Goss Motors inbox, appreciate it. Johnny, what do you think about Shaquem Griffin being invited to the draft? I think it's a pretty cool story. Backtrack. Shaquem Griffin is the player, the pass rusher from Central Florida that has one hand. He had some type of, was it a blood disease? Some type of issue when he was a kid that gave him an insane amount of pain in his hand, and they removed it. He had his hand amputated when he was a 5-6-year-old boy. He has a twin brother who's currently in the NFL, Shaquille Griffin, who plays for the Seahawks. He was a really good rookie last year. His brother Shaquem, with one hand, had a hell of a year. He was Conference Defensive Player of the Year last year with one hand. Now, his measurables. He had an excellent combine. Here's my situation with it. I guess I'll be Debbie Downer on this one. I don't like the fact that Shaquem Griffin is going to the combine because the draft. He barely went to the combine. I don't like this because here's why. They only invited 22 players to the NFL draft, okay? 22. Those are all guaranteed first-round picks. I don't think Shaquem Griffin is a first-round pick. I think he's a third-round pick. I think he's he might even be an early day 3 pick. So you're going to make this guy stay in Dallas, sit in the green room all second day? I think it could be an embarrassing moment for the kid. Look, it's great that he got the invite, but he's not going in the first round. Well, and I don't know if that's because he has one hand or not. I mean, the thing that he says that I like, he doesn't know what it's like to play football with 2 hands. Put yourself in his shoes. He doesn't barely even remember having 2 hands. He has 1 hand, and he's only played football with 1 hand. It's all he knows. So it's completely different from taking a player who's had a large amount of success playing this sport and all of a sudden loses a hand. That's not the case with him. He's never played football with 2 hands. So he's able to be a highly effective. Look, I'd love it if Seattle took him. I love the kid. And I'd love to have the twins play together on the team. That'd be a great story. But I don't think you need to invite him to the draft. Look, if he was a guaranteed first-round pick, that's who gets invited to the draft. The guaranteed first-round picks. Otherwise, it's just, you know what? His family's going to be there. He's going to be sitting there in Dallas the whole first round. All 21 other players with invitations, they're already going to be picked. They're going to hold up their jersey. They're going to move on to their party and all this stuff. And Shaquem Griffin and his family are just going to be sitting there in the green room around a table, just, farting around. Again, I think this could backfire on the league. And also, what's it say? Okay, is the league just doing it because the kid has 1 hand? Is that the only reason this is happening? Because the kid just has the 1 hand, and they want to be the nice league that's going to do a nice thing for a potential draft pick that only has 1 hand. Is that what this is? Is this a charity case? Make the league look good? Was this a PR move? I hope not. But I'm telling you this, from folks I've talked with in the draft community, or just watching Path to the Draft on NFL Network, or watching and paying attention to Mel Kiper Jr. or Todd McShay or the ESPN talking heads, nobody has this guy going in the first round. And if they do, they don't evaluate the draft for a living. It's a hot take. Look, I hope the kid goes in the first round. I'm rooting for him. I really do hope he does. That'd be awesome. I don't see anywhere where he's going in the first round, though. Hope I'm wrong on that. But again, Shaquem Griffin has been invited to the draft, and I think it's a mistake. He's probably a third-round pick. Hey, Kurt's RV Service and Repair, Felinda Loop, Island City. Go see Kurt, Rod, and their team of folks before your next trip. Take your camper, trailer, RV over to Kurt's. Quality, stand-up professional service, and I can stand behind Kurt's service. I've seen it up close and personal. Kurt is a good friend of mine. He's sponsored this show for mega years, and he's the best. We'll be back. Ballgame Show.
Oregon's home for news, talk, weather, and sports. This is KLBM LeGrand and KBKR Baker City. Super Talk Radio, the talk
Trump's
of
personal
Eastern
attorney,
Oregon.
Michael Cohen, has decided to plead the Fifth to protect against self-incrimination. The assertion is made in a signed statement filed in federal court in the Stormy Daniels lawsuit. Potentially damaging accusations have been made against Veteran Affairs Secretary nominee Navy Rear Admiral Ronnie Jackson. They concern allegations of loosely prescribing drugs, drinking on duty, and an explosive temper, which Deputy White House Press Secretary Rod Shaw says have all been looked at.
These are accusations. We are looking into them, but Dr. Jackson has been investigated 4 separate times in terms of background investigations, including a most recent FBI background investigation.
A more than 40-year-long manhunt is over as a 72-year-old former police officer, Joseph James D'Angelo, has been arrested as the Golden State Killer. The brother of 2 murder victims, Bruce Harrington, is relieved.
For the 51 ladies who were brutally raped in this crime scene, sleep better tonight. He isn't coming through the window. He's now in jail, and he's history.
At least another 31 cases of E. coli have been linked to tainted romaine lettuce grown in Yuma, Arizona. The CDC says 84 people from 19 states have been sickened. 42 people have been hospitalized, including 9 battling kidney failure. The CDC and FDA both issued a warning last week against eating all romaine lettuce. Ford Motor outlined a plan to cut costs and boost profit margins. It includes dropping traditional sedan models in North America, only selling the Mustang and a new compact crossover called Focus Active starting in 2019. Taliban announced the start of its annual spring offensive, dismissing an offer for peace talks by President Ashraf Ghani and saying it will focus on U.S. forces in Afghanistan. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Okay, so the big question for any decision you're going to make, is this actually going to work? Well, if you've heard about MediShare, which is a brilliant way of sharing healthcare costs, you may have wondered that. Does it work? Well, so did Dr. Stuart Hoover, who initially joined to save a lot of money. The typical family saves about $500 a month. Stuart saved even more.
When we first joined MediShare, we were immediately going from a little over $1,600 a month down to $460 basically a month.
So that's wonderful, but then his wife needed emergency surgery and the bills added up to $160,000.
So we were seeing the bills coming in, and then the bills were being paid. Portions were being shared, and the end result of this is this bill was taken care of.
Yes, MediShare works, and it's so easy to get your questions answered too, so why not? You can call right now, 844-91-BIBLE. That's 844-91-BIBLE, 844-91-BIBLE.
It's time now for your LeGrand Ride weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, a low of 40 degrees with clear skies expected. For tomorrow, a high near 78 degrees with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. In Baker City tonight, clear skies too with a low near 40 degrees. And by tomorrow, sunshine and calm wind with a high near 76. This weather forecast is brought to you by
Grande Hospital. Medical research shows that people who develop a long-term relationship with a primary care provider experience better health and lower healthcare costs. Make your health a priority. Call the RMC, your primary care medical home at 541-663-3138.
Self-Service Furniture Warehouse has some news. They have mattresses. All right, it's not necessarily news, but it's definitely worth a mention to remind everyone. They've got huge king-size mattresses for you bed hogs, starting at just $5.99. They also have adjustable bases and pillow top options for the ultimate comfort. So if you want great prices, selection, and variety, you have to come to Self-Service Furniture Warehouse today because they have mattresses. Shop with Self-Service Furniture Warehouse, East End of Adams in LeGrand.
Tradio. Tune in every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. as Cliff Turner hosts Union and Baker County's largest garage sale. Listeners, call and email Cliff with items they have for sale, and he puts their message on the air absolutely free. Tradio is proudly brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Try before you buy, exclusively at My Hearing Centers. Book your free hearing evaluation and free trial today. Call 663-4772. 663-4772.
Sassy!
Today's episode, Rattlesnake at the Pond.
Oh no, a rattlesnake! Sassy, help! You will, but first you want to talk about shelter pets? The majority of pets in shelters are there due to owner-related issues like divorce or allergies. Save us, Sassy! What, Sassy? You wish you were videotaping this? Sassy!
Sassy is brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org. Remember, adopt.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care. I ever get back, so let's root for the home team. They don't win, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The Johnny Ballgame
All right, welcome back. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. We're going to do our local sports report with LeGrand Observer sports editor Ronald Bond. He's going to shoot his way into the studio here in a second. That's brought to you by Blue Mountain Auto Parts. It's been an awesome show so far. Having a lot of fun with this the day before the NFL draft. Going to be an interesting draft, to say the least, for tomorrow. Heck, we still don't know where certain players are going, right? Like, I have no clue what the Giants are doing at 2. Are they going to go quarterback? Are they going to go Saquon? Are they going to go Chubb? Or are they going to trade the pick? There's like 3 or 4 options that the Giants could do. I have no idea. I guess the one thing I can say with absolute certainty is that the Jets are going to take a quarterback at 3. I can say that with certainty. Cleveland, I would imagine, will they take a quarterback at 1? I'd put my next paycheck on it that Cleveland takes a quarterback at 1. Unless, of course, they trade. And I don't think Cleveland trades again. I don't see it. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Got some email and text messages that I want to read to. First text message, Johnny, I say if the kid washes out in the NBA, let them retain their college eligibility. If we really care about these kids, how many high school kids will get drafted each year? 1 or 2? Look, here's my thing with that. If you say, okay, everybody can go to the draft, and even if you make an NBA team, but you're not that good, you can go back to college? That's not going to happen. No, totally disagree with you there. But what I could go with is, dude, let the kid go to the draft, hire an agent, do the whole process. And if he doesn't get picked where he wants, he can go back to school. Something like that. Like, look at high school baseball players, okay? You know, Pat Casey talks about this on this show when he comes on all the time, how hard it is recruiting college baseball. Because Pat Casey at Oregon State, one of the top programs in the country, he'll sign a kid to a scholarship. The next June comes, and that kid gets drafted in the 3rd round by the Pittsburgh Pirates. So he has a choice there. I can take my 1.9, 2.2 $1 million signing bonus as a 3rd round pick, and I can go to the Pirates system, or I can, honor my signed commitment and go play baseball in Corvallis. Pat Casey says he loses 2 or 3 recruits every 3 or 4 years just on that. They sign a kid in September that they love. Then the following June comes, that kid rips it up his senior year of high school, and then he gets drafted by the Rangers in the 5th round. It's like, sorry, Coach Casey. Sorry, Oregon State. I'm going to go to the pros. Maybe do something along those lines with basketball, okay? They can sign, the kid signs with Duke. That's awesome. But he also enters the draft that year. He does both. He gets picked in the late 1st. So, okay, what do? Late 1st round pick, I'm going to go play and try to make the Rockets, or I'm going to go to Duke for a year or 2 or whatever. Give them that choice like they give it to the baseball kid. Hockey is the same way. You can hire an agent when you're a high school hockey player. I don't know why it's different with basketball. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know if it's a black and white thing. Honestly, I don't know. But why don't they just let the kid do that? Hey, I signed with Kansas. Great. But I'm still entering the draft. Oh, I got picked in the lottery? Okay. Sorry, Bill Self. Sorry, Kansas. I'm going to the NBA. That type of deal. But no, they wouldn't want to let that happen in college basketball because, Bill Self just lost a kid. No. Pat Casey loses kids every year in college baseball to just that. So maybe you could explore that. I could go for that. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Another text message. Johnny, I totally agree with you on Shaquem Griffin. He doesn't want to be a charity case. He wants to be taken seriously. Those are his words. So why is he at the draft? That's going to be a downer. He's going to be sitting there in the green room all day tomorrow, and he's not going to get picked in the 1st round. It's going to be an embarrassing look. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. We got a big guest coming up this hour. I don't want you to miss it. Gaylon White, an author of a new book, Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier, about a former Negro League baseball star, Artie Wilson, who spent most of his life living in Portland, Oregon. This guy's a Northwest guy. Played for the Seattle Six, is that what it was? Or the Seattle, I can't remember what their PCL team was. That's the Pacific Coast League. Played a long time there in Seattle. What was that? Was it the Seals? Was it the Rainiers, possibly? Can't remember. Anyway, he's going to come on and talk about his book. But until then, let's have some fun with this as we do every single Wednesday, and certainly appreciate this gentleman being able to shift his schedule around with the LeGrande Observer. He does a terrific job. Most of the local articles you're reading, he's writing, and they have a terrific sports section in the LeGrande Observer. Honestly, I told him this on and off the record. He does a good job from the Eugene, Oregon, University of Oregon School of Journalism. Hopefully they'll put his name on the building one day. Ronald Bond, LeGrande Observer. What's up, Bondy boy? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, good to be on. Absolutely.
Man. NFL draft tomorrow. Do you geek out on the draft like I do, Bondage?
I mean, I pay a little bit of attention to it. The most I would have, quote-unquote, geeked out on it was 3 years ago when it was trying to figure out who was going to go first and second, if it was going to be Jameis Winston and then Marcus Mariota or vice versa. That's probably the most. You're
a big Mariota guy, right?
Oh yeah, he's my boy. I'm hoping. I still got big things for him.
He's on his way.
I still think 3 years in, there's probably people who would say, oh, Winston is levels and levels above Mariota. I disagree, and maybe that's a little bit of homerism in me, but I'm the person that I kind of just want to focus on the season at hand, and since the Blazers got knocked out last week, on the pro end, I'm kind of more focused on how much I'm going to end up suffering this summer with the Mariners, who they're making it a little more tolerable right now. Though 81-81 is probably the best they'll get.
They won today. I
focus on what's in season. So I'm not the type to even really want to talk about football until July or August, and I realize that's a sin probably around a lot of fans.
I haven't decided if I want the Mariners to tease me yet this year, like to show me some life, hang in this thing a few months, and then I think the inevitable, the ship, no pun intended, for the Mariners kind of begins to sink. They're 13-10, okay? They're 2.5 games back of the Astros. I mean, they're fighting around here, and I'll tell you this: I enjoy watching them play. I like that lineup. I enjoy going home. I wish they'd play some stinking night games once in a while. It's like every single game seems like it's a day game. But I enjoy going home watching the M's at night.
Yeah, I will give you that. I'm trying to remember how you likened it last year to that girlfriend that you kind of wanted to go away, but it never would go away, or something like that. Stacey. I couldn't remember if it was Stacey or Sally.
Yeah, it was Stacey, bro.
Mine was always Sally.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I'm kidding.
She just keeps coming back, man. And I tell myself, she doesn't really like me. She's using me. Don't go back to her. It's not gonna. No, they're not making the playoffs. They're not gonna be. The Mariners always have this way of like pulling me in, and then once I get like fully invested, fist pumping, excited about it, then all of a sudden they lose 10-12.
How fair is it to make the comparison that the Blazers are the same way once it comes to the first round of the playoffs the last few years?
Stinky.
I mean, they're very similar in that regard. The only difference is the Mariners never make the playoffs. The Blazers make the first round, might tease you with the way things go during the season, and then have New Orleans happen to them like what happened.
Man,
that was
awful, Bondy.
I don't want to think about that one anymore.
Okay, let's go to the local scene. I know there's a huge softball doubleheader last weekend there. LeGrande ranked 5th. Mac High ranked 2nd. What happened there?
It was a sweep for the LHS Tigers. They just completely manhandled Mac High.
The number 2 team in the state.
12-1 in the opener, 8-2 in the nightcap. I didn't stay for the nightcap because I went out to the big track meet in Union after that. But I mean, it was really first place on the line in the GOL. I mean, the winner was going to likely end up having the number 2 ranking in the state, which now belongs to LeGrande. And really with this, LeGrande really puts itself in the driver's seat for the Greater Oregon League. They've got a series coming up this weekend against Ontario at home, which they should handle. The following weekend against Baker at home, and so they're really in a spot now where if they take care of those games, which they should be able to, they should be 10-0 going into the regular season finale at Mac High, and they would probably only need a split to lock up the GOL title, and even with that, even if something crazy happened and they did get swept, the tiebreaker I believe is the point differential between the teams, and LeGrand's got a pretty lofty edge on that now. Mac High would have to do some serious damage, which, at Milton Freewater they're totally capable of doing. But, this isn't the Mac High team of a couple years ago. And at the same token, this is a very good LeGrand team that's got really solid pitching and can tear the cover off the ball. I mean, They're set up now that if they stay at this 2 spot, they wouldn't have to leave the city of LeGrand, in theory, until they got potentially to the state championship game. So that's big if they can hold that, which they should be able to.
What about, what else is going on with the scene with the Tigers? I mean, that's huge for the softball team.
The baseball team is right there as well. Yeah. The baseball team, believe it or not, they're only 6 games in. They could actually lock up a share of the GOL this weekend. Ontario's coming to town. LeGrand's already 6-0. They've already knocked everybody else off. So they could be sitting 8-0. Everybody else would already have, I believe, 4 losses in league. And they're doing it the same way they did last year. They're doing it with pitching. We talked last week about GT Blackman and Cody DeBray throwing the combined no-hitter, one-hitter. They were solid again on Saturday against Baker. Beat them 11, or not Baker, Mac High beat them 11-1 and 10-0. And it's just complete domination, and now they're up to number 2 in the rankings. So I'm starting to kind of wonder how this team stacks up compared to the team a year ago. Obviously, that team went on to win state, but if this team goes on to win state, are they as good as the team as last year? Are they better? I mean, it's really cool. It's really cool to see that they lost so much from last year, and they really haven't missed a beat. And you could make the argument in some areas that they could be better. They could be a better offensive team. They could be as good, if not a better, pitching team as well. So, really positive things going on with the baseball and softball teams right now. In your
opinion, again, Ronald Bond, sports editor, LeGrand Observer, here every week on the Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. In your opinion, does this team rank, you saw this team play last year when they won a state title. You've seen this team play this year when they're highly ranked again, going for another deep playoff run. In your opinion, this year's team, where does it compare to last year's team?
I would say at this point they're on an equal playing field with last year's team. When you look at it from a surely statistical standpoint, they're on a very similar trajectory. They're scoring runs in bunches. I was just trying to look it up. They might even be scoring them at a greater rate than they were last year at this time, which, if they indeed are, is impressive. They're averaging almost, if I can do quick math, they're averaging over 10 runs a game right now on the offensive end. Now, granted, once they get into the playoffs, they're going to be facing some teams that
lights out pitching.
I mean, they faced a team in Henley in the title game last year that had some really solid pitching. They just managed to get into the bullpen and expose the bullpen, and that's what allowed them to break that open. But the pitching is almost as sound as last year's pitching was. Well, it might not be quite as deep yet. That team was 6, 7, 8 deep on the mound. This one might be about 3 or 4 deep on the mound, but it's still a really, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, especially if they, as they currently hold the number 2 seed in the state as well. If they hold that and they can coast at home potentially until the state title game, that'll be tough.
Ronald Bond, sports editor, LeGrand Observer. This segment, Blue Mountain Auto Parts. We appreciate you for helping us out. Blue Mountain Auto Parts, local sports update, power tools, jump starter kits, mail-in rebates for a ton of different items they have. There's always a sale going on at Blue Mountain Auto Parts. Step on in your local Napa Auto Parts dealer.
And for that comparison, the team last year averaged roughly 8.5 runs a game. This year's team is already averaging over 10. So I mean, the offense is on pace to be stronger than last year's offense was.
I mean, that's certainly good news. And GT's you would think a better pitcher this year than he was last year, simply because he's bigger, faster, stronger. And gosh, could you imagine? I mean, I mean, putting the cart obviously way before the horse on this one, but like a dual state championship, LeGrande softball, LeGrande baseball, like how big would that be, Bond?
When you consider there hasn't, LeGrande's last state title in baseball prior to last year was 2007. The swim team has had a few state titles in there in the last few years, but they haven't had a whole bunch of major success. I mean, they've had state runs and stuff, but they haven't had a whole bunch of state title success in the last couple of years as an entire program, save for last year's baseball team and the swim team from a couple of years ago. There's never been a LHS girls sports team that has won a state title. So when you throw those two factors in, you would have the boys potentially repeating, the softball team doing something a girls team at LHS had never done before. They would likely be doing it on the same day as well because of the way the way the timing and everything sets up. So I mean, if June June 2nd, I believe, if June 2nd gets here and the LHS girls are playing in the title game at 10:30 down at OSU, and the baseball team is playing in the title game, 1:30, 2 o'clock at Kaiser Stadium. I mean, you're gonna have, or Volcano Stadium. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That is gonna be a glorious day for an LHS sports fan in general, especially if they were to pull off both wins. And then, not to mention their boys track team is putting up some stupendous numbers during the spring as well. So this is gonna be a fun next 4, 5, 6 weeks to really see how these seasons, play their way out for the baseball, softball team, and the track team, and the golf teams are doing good too. Really good stretch right now for LHS.
Ronald Bond, Sports Editor, LeGrande Observer. Give us a quick one. We'll be right back. Let's talk some ESU, some of the other community programs. Local Sports Report, Ronald Bond, Blue Mountain Auto Parts. We'll be back.
This is Rob Cashel, Commissioner of the Cascade Collegiate Conference, talking to all you sport fans in Eastern Oregon. Competition in the CCC has never been better. We've got some of the best NAIA basketball programs in the country, and sport for sport, the CCC can match up with anyone. Visit CascadeConference.org and keep tabs on programs such as Eastern Oregon, College of Idaho, and many more. It's a great time to be a Cascade Conference sports fan. That's CascadeConference.org.
I'm JD Stanley with Dream Builders Contracting. We have values at Dream Builders. I'm an American, and I believe our country has a bright future. I believe in family, our community, and that our children are the future. I believe in our founding fathers and the Constitution. At Dream Builders, we treat every project with the utmost respect. Trust me when I say, if you hire us, we'll do our absolute best to make sure the job is done perfectly. That I can guarantee. Go America, go Ducks. CCB 180209.
Switch to AmeriGas for home or business and lock into great year-round rates. No better time than now to choose AmeriGas, the leading provider with world-class safety for propane delivery and supply. AmeriGas, locally managed and operated with an on-site office providing you, our customer, prompt and professional service for any propane need. AmeriGas, more trucks, more deliveries, and more propane. Right here in your neighborhood. Start enjoying the benefits of propane. Call Jordan or Mary Kay at AmeriGas today, 963-2811.
Hey, for all of you listening that own an RV, camper, or trailer, Kurt's RV Service and Repair in Island City has you covered. For any issue, large or small, Kurt's RV Service and Repair will make certain that your next big trip will be a safe one. Many of you may be quite handy yourself and can handle some issues with your trailer, camper, or RV on your own. That's great too. Check out the amazing parts and inventory at Kurt's. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, you'll find the parts you need at Kurt's RV Service and Repair in Island City.
Ballgame show. What is it, Wednesday with the NFL draft? What is it, tomorrow? 24 hours from now. Heck, the Jets are probably on the clock at 3. How sweet that is. appreciate everybody at Blue Mountain Auto Parts for helping us with this segment, our local sports report with Observer sports editor Ronald Bond, and a really special author coming on in about 10 minutes. His name is Gaylon White, and he wrote the book Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. Maybe for some of my old school folks tuning in right now, you remember the name Artie Wilson. Spent most of his adult life living in Portland. He was the last professional player to hit over 400. He did that in the PCL in 1948 with the Birmingham Black Barons. He was a teammate of Willie Mays on that team in the Negro Leagues. And just a fascinating book, and I can't wait to talk to Gaylon White about that. I read a little bit of the book, and it was interesting because some of the other Negro League players, I don't really want to say they were jealous, but when Jackie Robinson broke the barrier in 1947, there were a lot of folks around the Negro Leagues that thought that was the incorrect choice, that there was about 25 better players in the Negro Leagues at that time than Jackie Robinson. You know, I remember Branch Rickey saying Robinson might not have been the best player, but he was the right player at the time to be able to handle what he was going to need to handle. Anyway, fascinating book. We're going to talk with him when we come back a little bit later. But we have Ronald Bond, sports editor, LeGrand Observer here. Bundy, I want to talk some EOU stuff with you. I know spring practice with football's underway. You're going to shoot on up there next week, so hopefully when we do this next week, we can talk some spring football. See where EOU's headed, what direction this year. A lot of question marks, I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
with that EOU team.
It'll definitely be interesting to see, how things have transpired since the offseason, kicked in. The players who maybe have already showed up of their JC transfers and whatnot, and just how they're going to integrate in. And got to remember they have a ton back from last year's team. They didn't graduate many seniors, so. And I believe, don't quote me on this yet because I'm just doing it off memory, but I believe their first spring game is next Saturday as well. So definitely something that fans who are fans of the football team are going to want to check out. And I'm excited to get up there and kind of just see where things are at in the progression right now.
Let's talk huge rivalry softball series. Peggy Anderson Field, EOU. SOU, always a fun one. This is big, Monty boy, big.
Yeah, this is big. If nothing else, because of that rivalry, it's going to be the final home games of the season for the EOU softball team. Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon. There's not a ton at stake for Eastern as far as seeding goes. That I can tell in the Cascade Conference Tournament, they've already clinched a spot in the tournament. They kind of took one on the chin last weekend. They were swept by Corbin last Friday and Saturday. Kind of got the taste out of their mouths of that on Sunday when they beat Providence in a pair of makeup games. So they're kind of locked. Almost looks like they're locked into kind of the 4-5 game at the conference tournament. So I mean, this is definitely going to be for some momentum going into that tournament to want to beat their rivals and to send their seniors off on home on the right foot and their path to the national tournament is going to have to be through that conference tournament. And Southern, a very solid team. They're tied for first in the conference, I believe, ranked number 8 in the nation. So this is not going to be an easy test. But if they could get one or even a couple for some momentum going into that conference tournament, they get hot like they did in 2016, and win some games that they shouldn't at the conference tournament. I mean, you never know. They could sneak in.
Now, as far as anything else that's going on, spring sports, spring season, I know that's kind of a slow season up there at EOU. Softball kind of takes command. Can you tell me anything, maybe going back to the hardwood? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Any recruiting info, maybe what Angie's doing, what Carlito's doing there on the hardwood? Anything you've heard in that regard, Bond?
I'd seen a name or two that had crossed the team's Twitter feed of a couple of recruits. I think for the women's team, the name escapes me right now. I haven't seen like an official press release on all the these are the names of the people we've brought in. Kind of with my focus has been, as you know, kind of more on the softball team and a lot with the prep stuff, especially with baseball and track and everything like that.
Yeah.
But Angie's knack, it seems like the last few years, has kind of been to pull a lot of. She gets a lot of JC transfers and whatnot, and I'm really curious to see with this going to be Carlito's first recruiting class, kind of what his style is, what he's going to be looking for. He's obviously going to be after players to fit his mold and what he wants to do there. So once that class is out and kind of integrated, I'm really curious to see how what kind of players he brings in.
You hear about Scott Garson leaving the College of Idaho?
When I did see that. I mean, going D1, that's impressive.
Well, that's where he came from, but it's an assistant gig. Yeah, he's been D1 for a long time. He was at UCLA for 10 years.
Okay.
But yeah, he's going back to be an assistant at now Santa Clara. So, but that opens things up in the CCC, right?
I definitely think so, and especially with you gotta expect C of I would take a step back next year because of that, but you never know. I mean, that is if that's indeed a true program beyond just what Coach Garson was able to bring on, and the coach who's taken over on that is able to continue that tradition. I mean, they'll probably be right there again next year.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. I know you're the busiest guy, busiest sports reporter I know. That's pretty much a one-man operation up there with you, Bond, the sports editor, LeGrand Observer. This guy works his tail off, covers every single local event, all the schools, college, high school, boys, girls, men, women. I mean, you're on top of it and continue to do a terrific job, Ronald.
Johnny, can I ask you a quick question before we split out of here?
I think you probably can.
Okay, if I were to tell you there was a athlete in the local area who was top 12 in the state, regardless of classification, in the pole vault, would you believe me?
Yes, because you said it.
Because I said it.
Where's he or she from? What are they doing?
You'll have to get a copy of Friday's Observer to find out. Got a feature on this athlete coming up on Friday.
Gosh, you didn't even go to broadcasting school, and you teased a hell of a lot better than I do. That's what they call a tease in the biz. Pick up a copy of the Observer. Subscribe.
Friday's Observer. We're going to have a feature on this athlete who has really come from nowhere in the last year and become an excellent pole vaulter.
Great job, man.
Appreciate it, Johnny.
That's the local sports report with LeGrand Observer sports editor Ronald Bond, brought to you by Blue Mountain Auto Parts. Don't miss this next interview. Gaylon White, he's the author of a book just released, Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. I was talking to a Portland guy who played in the Pacific Coast League. I had a cup of coffee in the bigs, and a fascinating story. I can't wait to talk with Gaylon White. He's coming up next. He'll be on the Baker City Gold and Silver Hotline. Don't miss this interview.
It's time now for your LeGrand Ride weather forecast. In LeGrand tonight, a low of 40 degrees with clear skies expected. For tomorrow, a high near 78 degrees with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. In Baker City tonight, clear skies too with a low near 40 degrees. And by tomorrow, sunshine and calm wind with a high near 76. This weather forecast is brought to you by
Grande Hospital. Medical research shows that people who develop a long-term relationship with a primary care provider experience better health and lower healthcare costs. Make your health a priority. Call the RMC, your primary care medical home, at 541-663-3138.
MJ Goss Motors Company is proud to be your LeGrand Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC dealer. With an extensive inventory of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, their friendly staff will help you find the perfect vehicle for you. Goss Motors is a full-service dealership which includes 24-hour towing, a body shop, parts, and service. So stop in today and check out the new and pre-owned inventory and ask them about their current offers and factory incentives. MJ Goss Motors in downtown LeGrand. Quick, friendly service since 1922.
Tune into the Under the Hood Show, America's favorite car talk show, every Sunday morning from 9 to 11 on KLBM 1450 and KBKR 1490. The Under the Hood Show is sponsored in part by East Adams Car Wash in LeGrand. Find satisfaction and the ultimate clean knowing you washed it and got it done right at East Adams Car Wash in LeGrand. The Under the Hood Show every Sunday morning from 9 to 11 on Super Talk Radio, the talk of Eastern Oregon. KLBM 1450 and KBKR 1490.
It's back! One of the best annual events of the season, the Eastern Oregon Beer Festival. Back and better than ever, Saturday, June 30th at the Union County Fairgrounds. Get your tickets today. Taste some of the best beers in the world, all at one venue. Plus, there's live music, delicious eats, and cool vendors from all over the region. Saturday, June 30th, the Eastern Oregon Beer Festival. Visit eobeerfest.org for all the info. one of the coolest events of the year.
You've heard of the law of gravity, right? Like when you trip at the top of the stairs, you fall to the bottom. Or nature's law.
Keep dreaming.
There's another law you can't ignore. The U.S. law requiring young men to register with Selective Service when they turn 18. Failure to comply means you can miss out on a lot, like college loans and government jobs. Fortunately, registering is easy. Just visit sss.gov on your computer or smartphone, or any post office. Do it, and it'll be one less law you have to worry about.
Get wicked!
All right, welcome back. You got yourself the Johnny Ballgame Show, brought to you by Benchwarmers Pub and Grill, your home for the NFL Draft. Don't miss that tomorrow, beginning at 5 p.m. I'll be down there. Come on down, root for your favorite team, see if they don't mess up their pick, right? Going to be fun, NFL Draft beginning tomorrow. Been excited for this interview for the last couple of weeks. I've heard this gentleman on other sports talk radio programs I listen to talking about this book. Hey, welcome, please, to the program, Gaylon White, author of the book Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. Going to be fun. We welcome him on in. Gaylon, let me start by just saying this means a little more where we are in Oregon, because the subject of Singles and Smiles, the Artie Wilson, heck, he was pretty much an Oregonian throughout his entire adulthood. He was a true stinking Oregonian, so we're really happy to have you on, and we think this is a great topic for our show. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and this is the first opportunity I've had to talk about Artie to an Oregon audience, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Artie would be smiling about this because he loved Oregon. He lived in Portland 55 years.
Wow.
His son, Artie Wilson Jr., was a star at Grant High School in Portland and then went on to star at the University of Hawaii. So Artie's smiling.
You know, Gaylon, it's funny. I've talked to some of my listeners about this interview, and they knew who my brother. He knew who Artie Wilson was. Oh yeah, Portland PCL guy, and great Negro League player. Yeah, he knows. People in this state. Artie Wilson is a guy because there's no professional team here. The Portland Beavers were as big as it got here in this state for a long time, and what Artie Wilson was able to do, just fascinating subject. I guess I'll just start by just asking you, what was your inspiration behind this? When you sat down one day and thought, heck, I'm gonna write a book on Artie Wilson because his story needs to be told. What inspired that thought for you?
First time I interviewed Artie was in 1975. I spent a weekend with him in Portland, went to church with him, had dinner with him, had breakfast with him, spent the whole weekend with Artie. I interviewed him a couple times in the 1990s. Again, I visited Portland. It started out as research for another book I was doing, and I was more interested in Artie's Coast League career initially. Then I became fascinated as he told stories about the Negro Leagues, about the Negro League career. And then the more time I spent around Artie, I just realized how special a human being he is. Just being a great athlete is just part of it. He was a great human being. And the way he treated me is the way he treated everybody that came into his life. And so I really, when I had the opportunity by my publisher to turn what started out to be a chapter in another book into a book on its own right, I jumped at it because what the publisher was looking for, their criteria, was pioneers in sports, somebody who made a difference off the field as well as on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's Artie Wilson. Let's write about Artie Wilson. He's the greatest shortstop nobody heard of outside of Oregon. He was a superstar before the term was invented. And that's not my words. That's Hall of Famer Monty Irvin.
Great
he was
player.
a five-time Negro League All-Star. Last player, black and white, to hit 400. Hit 402 for the Birmingham Black Barons in 1948. His batting average of 376 over the 5 years he was in the Negro League is the third highest all time.
Wow.
He was played on the Birmingham Black Barons in 1948 with Willie Mays. Willie was a teammate. That was his first year in pro ball. And then, of course, when he had his cup of coffee with the New York Giants in 1951, Artie asked to be sent down to the minors. He wanted to play regularly. He had started only one game with the Giants and was spending more time on the bench. He wanted to play. Not only that, he made more money in the Coast League playing for Oakland at that time than he was making with the Giants. So he asked Leo DeRozier, the manager of the Giants, to send him down. DeRozier did not want to, but in the end he relented and sent Artie back to the minors, and guess who they brought up? Willie Mays.
Willie Mays. Didn't they call him, what was it, the squid or the octopus or something? They
The
said
octopus, yeah, that was a nickname he had in the Negro Leagues, and it came from the fact that it looked like he had 8 arms out there. He covered so much ground.
I love it. Again, you're listening to Gaylon White, former sports writer, author of the book. Go buy this sucker, especially if you're living in Oregon listening to this program. Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. You know, as far as everybody knows, heck, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947, or Moses Fleetwood Walker earlier on. How in fact, I'm sorry, how did Artie Wilson break baseball's color barrier?
Well, Artie was the first black to play for the Oakland Oaks. He was the first black to play for the Seattle Rainiers. The Portland Beavers, Luis Marquez and Frankie Austin broke it in Portland right after Artie broke it in Oakland. He was the second black player to play in the close league after John Ritchie broke the color barrier in 1948. The point I like to make in regards to breaking the color barrier, what Jackie did, of course, was the biggest of all. The one in the major leagues, and of course the first in organized baseball. But there were other black players who broke color barriers throughout baseball, because every city there was a barrier to be broken. And what I wanted to shed some light on was these players who were just as courageous as Jackie. Perhaps they didn't have as giant a spotlight on them as he did. And it may well be they had a little easier time. In fact, Artie would tell you that, yes, he had an easier time because of Jackie, but he experienced many of the same things. My favorite story in the book has to do with a fan in Sacramento who called him the N-word, yelled at pitchers to throw at Artie. And this started in 1949 when he played for the Oaks. Well, Artie ended his career in Sacramento in 1957. A freak accident, he injured his eye and he had to retire. By the end of his career, this fan was his biggest booster and organized Artie Wilson Appreciation Night there in Sacramento. That speaks to the impact that Artie had on people, black and white. He brought them around to where he was, and he did it, again, through singles after singles. He's probably the greatest single hitter of all time. And this contagious smile. It was a sincere smile. It wasn't a cheerleader smile. It was a sincere, authentic smile.
Yeah, Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. Pick up this book wherever books are sold. We have the author, Gaylon White, on this program as we speak. A couple of things I have here. I've watched 20 times Ken Burns' documentary. I love it. I love how they talk about shadow ball in the Negro Leagues, and I can't get enough of it. Why was Artie Wilson left out entirely of that documentary? I'll tell you, Gaylon, I've seen it a million times. There's not a mention of Artie Wilson in Ken Burns' baseball doc. Why the snub?
I have no idea, and I was with Artie around the time that it was first aired, and I asked Artie, would he have liked to have been on the show, and the answer, of course, was yes. But, with Artie, he never complained about anything. The fact that he was left out of that, he still knew what he had done. Would he have liked to have told his story? Absolutely. To me, that was a great program. Shadow Ball, I don't want to take anything away from it.
Yes.
But if they had added Artie to that program, they would have had Buck O'Neill doubled. Artie was another Buck O'Neill. He could.
I love Buck O'Neill.
He had the sense of humor of Buck O'Neill. He could tell stories like Buck O'Neill. I understand in television, the storytelling, you focus on one person and you kind of build around that. But they really missed the boat on Artie Wilson. And, in fact, I discussed that with Artie at that time for that reason.
Okay.
But, I like to think that with this book, Artie is going to get the credit he has long deserved. Artie was missing the top part of his right thumb on his throwing hand.
Yeah.
There's a photograph in the book of his showing his thumb to Alvin Dark, who was the starting shortstop for the Giants. Just consider what Artie accomplished without all of his right thumb. What could have he done if he'd had that whole right thumb?
Oh, I love it. Was Jackie Robinson, was there resentment, jealousy with some of the African-American Negro League stars at the time where, I've read a lot of stories. There was 20, 30 players in the Negro Leagues that were better baseball players than Jackie Robinson, and Negro Leaguers stand behind that 100%, but they weren't chosen. And Branch Rickey said, he might not have been the best player, Jackie, but he was the right player. Was there resentment around the Negro Leagues that Jackie got to go and nobody else did?
not with Artie. Artie would tell you this, and he told me this. He said, I was the better shortstop, and he was. He was a 5-time Negro League All-Star, and he was the best shortstop in the Negro Leagues at that time. But he also said that Jackie was the best choice. Why? Because Jackie had more contact with white people. He'd played sports at UCLA. He'd been in the military. Artie, by comparison, grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Had some dealings with white people through some of the baseball competition, the barnstorming. He was on the Satchel Paige All-Stars that traveled around the country in 1946.
Awesome.
So Artie had some contact with white people, but not as much as Jackie. So Artie applauded both Branch Rickey and Jackie Robinson. Rickey for choosing Jackie, and Jackie then for what he did and how much courage he showed and so forth. But in my opinion, Artie could have done the same thing. You know, one of the things, Artie retired in 1957. He was selling used cars there in Gladstone.
Yeah, okay.
In 1962. He often went and pitched batting practice at Multnomah Stadium. He went one day right before the 4th of July to throw batting practice. While he was there, he was recruited to help the Beavers because they had so many injuries. He played 19 games at second base, not having played in 5 years, and did not commit an error.
Gosh, that's a tough position to play, too, no question, especially not playing it for 5 years. The Negro League statistics, Satchel Paige in his book said he won 2,500 games. That's 5 times more than Cy Young. Josh Gibson said he had over 800 home runs. That's over 80 more than Babe Ruth. But the stats just weren't kept properly. I looked up Artie's stats. Some are there, some are missing. What was that? Just the resources? Like why the Negro Leagues at the time didn't, I guess, do a better job of keeping data in history and statistical stuff. Why was that, Gaylon?
Well, they kept stats on teams that they played in their own league. So the Black Barons played in the Negro American League. So all the stats, everything that happened when they played in that part of the Negro League, those were kept very diligently. When you got out and they played teams from the Negro National League, they may or may not have kept some of those. They also did a lot of barnstorming. They would play other teams, local teams, just any games they could get. They were playing ball all the time. Those stats were not included with the rest. So it is kind of a hit-and-miss proposition. But I will say this, Ernie Banks coined the term let's play 2.
Yeah.
Artie could have easily have coined the term let's play 5. And here's why I say that. He played in a doubleheader with the Birmingham Black Barons in Birmingham on a Sunday. The next day, Labor Day, a Monday, they played 2 games in Memphis. Then that night, between the doubleheader in Memphis, they traveled to Jackson, Mississippi, 200 miles from Memphis, and played a night game, 3 games on Labor Day. Altogether, 5 games in 36 hours. These guys were playing ball all the time.
Oh, wow.
So Satchel Paige was known to exaggerate a bit, but look, he could have done everything that he said he did, and certainly if you had included all the stats that Artie had in all the games they played, who knows what we'd see. But, no, they were not you have to question some of the stats. In fact, what happened was when Jackie joined organized baseball, when he joined the Montreal Royals in 1946, so much attention got focused on Jackie. The black newspapers just quit including a lot of the box scores of Negro League games, and focused almost exclusively on Jackie. And after Jackie, Don Newcomb and Roy Campanella and some of the other players the Dodgers signed. And what they did every day was reported diligently. The Negro Leagues kind of fell by the wayside in terms of the reporting.
Yeah, I read about that, too, and saw some of that in the Ken Burns documentary, too. And, Larry Doby, it's crazy. I could go on the street and ask people who Larry Doby is, and no one's going to tell me. Everybody on the street can tell me who Jackie Robinson was. And as you know, Larry Doby broke the AL color barrier. He debuted, a month and a half after Jackie, and nobody knows who he is. It's funny who history picks to kind of, that's the person you're going to learn about in school. I learned about Jackie Robinson Robinson, I didn't learn about Larry Doby, who, again, made his debut, a month and a half after Jackie. It's kind of odd, huh?
Right. Yeah, and, we have a tendency, I guess, in sports to just give credit to the guy who was first, and then we forget everybody else. I mean, can you name the first black in the NFL? I can't. I need to look it up after this interview.
Yeah,
can you name the first black in the NBA?
No, but Fritz Pollard, I think, was in the NFL, but I'm a geek, okay?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact is, and some people have questioned the title of the book because we're saying breaking the color barrier. There were a bunch of black guys who broke the color barrier. Jackie just happened to be the first one on the biggest stage. That's taking nothing away from Jackie. What I'm suggesting is we ought to look at and give credit to the Artie Wilsons, the Reverend Bill Greason, who was a teammate of Artie on the Birmingham Black Barons in 1948 and was the first black St. Louis Cardinal pitcher. Reverend Greason's still living. He's 93 years old and pastoring a church in Birmingham, Alabama.
Awesome.
We ought to recognize the last chapter of the book. There's it's titled A Lot of History. Butch McCord, who followed the same path as Jackie Robinson. He just never made it to the major leagues. He compared his career with a backup singer, He was a backup singer his whole life.
I love it. Get this book, Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. We are actually listening to the author right now, Gaylon White, former sports writer, author. Is it just a crying shame that Artie Wilson is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
I think it is. He's not even in the Negro League Hall of Fame,
oh, wow.
which he should be there. And I believe he ought to be in Cooperstown. He is, fortunately, in the Oregon Sports Hall of Fame. He's in the Puerto Rico Hall of Fame. He's in the Pacific Coast League Hall of Fame. So he's in a few Hall of Fames, but he ought to be in every Hall of Fame that exists for black players. He ought to be in it because his story, again, when you look at the fact that he was missing part of his right thumb, and then look at his accomplishments, and then look at the class act that he was, the style which he carried on the field, the way he handled himself. Artie was a humble man. He talked a lot more about other players than he talked about himself. Guess who he roomed with the Oakland Oaks in 1949? Billy Martin.
Billy Martin.
Billy Martin was his roommate.
Okay.
And you ask Artie about Billy Martin because some people had suggested that Billy, Reggie Jackson, for one, suggested that Billy was prejudiced. Artie said he didn't have a prejudiced bone in his body. He loved Billy Martin. Of course, if you ask Artie about any player, he would say, super guy. That's the way he was, positive. He broke barriers through this positive, optimistic attitude. Again, coming back to the title of the book, Singles and Smiles.
I'm looking at a picture of the book right now, and you're right. Almost his entire thumb is missing. I don't even think you're doing it enough justice, Gaylon. Like, he doesn't have a right thumb. He's got a little nub there on that. Just fascinating. Hey, I got one more quick thing. He did reach the major leagues. 1951, you said, with DeRocher's New York Giants at the time, but it didn't necessarily work out. He was a utility guy in the outfield. Why didn't it work out? Was he older in his career? Why wasn't playing Major League Baseball a bigger deal for Artie Wilson?
Well, the Giants had an established double-play combination, Alvin Dark at shortstop, Eddie Stanky at second. And, of course, they had the experience of playing in the major leagues for several years prior to Artie getting there. Artie was a better hitter than either one of them. He was faster than either one of them, and he was a better fielder than either one of them. But he knew he wasn't going to break into that lineup, even though in spring training he led the Giants in hitting .480, and he still couldn't break into the lineup. He started one game. He was used mostly as a utility man. He played first base, second base, and short. He never played third, although really DeRocher acquired him in large part thinking that he might play third. But Artie needed to play every day. The way he batted, he needed to be playing every day because his stroke was very fine. He sent everything in the left field, and if he was out of the lineup for too long, he fouled those pitches off. I don't know whether I mentioned this earlier. Stop me if I did, but Artie on average fouled off 20 to 25 pitches in a game.
That's insane.
Now, I think we've heard this last week plenty about Brandon Belt, his 21 pitch at bat.
Yep.
But Artie, 20 to 25 pitches a game. Willie Mays recalled the time that he fouled off 15 pitches in a single game. So
wow.
Artie had to play every day, and he didn't with the Giants, and of course he made more money in the minors, and he loved baseball, but it wasn't a whole lot of fun if you weren't playing. So that's why he asked to go back down. Why didn't some other team pick him up? That's a good question. Artie seemed to think that the Giants wanted too much money for him, but there were other teams that could have used Artie Wilson. In fact, Leo DeRozier said that Artie was a better shortstop than almost any other team in the league had. So why didn't somebody else pick him up? That I don't have an answer to.
You know what? Well, I'll tell you this. There's going to be a lot of answers that you will have reading this book, my listeners. Gaylon White, he's the author. It's Singles and Smiles, How Artie Wilson Broke Baseball's Color Barrier. Pick this book up. A tremendous honor. Again, it means more for us in Oregon because Artie Wilson was a true Oregonian. Gaylon, I really appreciate your time. I hope I didn't take too much of it.
Hey, John, I'll talk all night, all day about Artie Wilson. He was a lovely man, and he sold used cars after he retired from baseball. And, yes, I would have bought a new used car from Artie Wilson.
I love it. Gaylon, enjoy. Best success. Hopefully this book in a couple weeks is on a lot of best sellers lists. We'll certainly do our part in our state. Let's get everybody to buy a copy of this sucker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Great stuff with, again, Gaylon White, the author of that book. Look, I'm backed up. Like, I'm not like my dad would read 10 books a week and just push through books, man. I'm so far behind. I got like 7 books ahead of this one. If anybody wants to read it, shoot me an email, and you can read it before me if you have any interest there. I'd like it back eventually, but if you want to read it, I'd be happy to let you read this sucker, or go out and buy it. Do whatever you need to. Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. I will see you in 1 minute.
Knee-High Enterprises in Baker City provides options for you and services that you might not even realize. How about new doors or windows for your home or business? You'll save a ton on energy costs. How about vinyl signs or banners for an event you have, or putting your business logo on a vehicle? Knee-High Enterprises in Baker City does all of that and more throughout the entire valley. New garage door openers and installation service. They're the best. Open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Knee-High Enterprises. Big enough for the big jobs, small enough to care.
Baker County's only locally owned and operated dealership. Hi, Randy Doherty here, inviting you to find your new road to Baker Garage. With over 100 new and used vehicles available, now's the time to upgrade your ride. Thinking of a new Cherokee, RAV4, or Forester? Compare to Chevy Equinox or Chevy Trax before you buy. Spot your tag today for that new Buick, Chevrolet, or GMC. Baker Garage, taking care of all your transportation needs. For 105 years in downtown Baker City, or on the web at bakercitygmsales.com.
Hey, don't forget that anniversary sale at Northwest Furniture and Mattress. That thing kicks off on Saturday. They got the big red rocking chair on the roof. Don't mistake it for another furniture joint. Northwest Furniture and Mattress in La Grande, downtown off Elm. And I'll tell you this, recliners starting at $299. Twin mattresses starting at $99. If you're going to look at that next furniture purchase, look no further than Northwest Furniture and Mattress. A killer sale coming up. Happy birthday in the sports world to Tim Duncan. And I met this guy once. Meadowlark Lemon, one of the great Harlem Globetrotters and basketball ambassadors I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. I went to a dinner. I went to a breakfast one morning where Meadowlark Lemon was the keynote speaker. It was great. Good stuff. So happy birthday to those in the sports world. Johnny Ballgame Show, Benchwarmers Pub and Grill. Tomorrow, we got the NFL draft, dude. How pumped are you for that? Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, we'll turn the mics back on. That's all I got.
Serving Eastern Oregon for over 75 years. This is KLBM La Grande and KBKR Baker City. Super Talk Radio, the talk of Eastern Oregon.
A DNA match led to an arrest in the Golden State Killer case more than 40 years later. Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert says former police officer Joseph James D'Angelo was taken into custody today.
The answer has always been in Sacramento. For over 40 years, countless victims